It's the last chance to try and impress the coaches here or somewhere else to prove that you belong in the National Football League. So much to talk about, so much to cover. It's the final game of the preseason. We'll do just that with the opening kickoff on the other side. Back here in Oakland, up in the booth, CURT MENEFEE alongside Seattle sports legend Brock Ewing.
That's the last time you're going to say that this
Until
season.
Next year.
We'll see.
All right, a couple of guys looking to make their own legacy in the National Football League will get a chance tonight. First of all, you got to prove you belong on the team. Roster cuts down to 53 on Saturday. Looking at the guys who aren't starters right now, who has impressed you the most this preseason?
And that's what I love about this game in particular, because the backups are going to get a lot of run. And George Fant at left tackle is going to continue to get his opportunity to impress. And what a remarkable story from when he came in. It's a guy that played basketball for 4 years. We've documented it nearly every game because he's gone out there and proved that he belonged. And I love what Tom Cable said to us 2 weeks ago. You shouldn't be able to do what he's doing right now. He's up from 283 to 305 pounds. And I think he's got a tremendous shot to make this team. Just got to finish the deal tonight.
All right, before we talk about the backup tackles, let's talk about who's starting at right tackle.
Yeah, not many other teams in the league in the fourth preseason game are going to be rotating their right tackles, trying to figure out who the starter is. I think it's a little complicated. You've got two guys that are very different. Jamarcus Webb is big, he's powerful, and it's tantalizing to think of what he'd be like with Ifedi and Glowinski blowing people off the ball. But he's being pushed, and I think it's a highly competitive situation with the incumbent. And that's Gary Gilliam, who started every game last year at that spot, is more athletic, probably a little bit more versatile, but not nearly as strong. So two guys are going to find it out, get a lot of run in this first half tonight.
All right, going into the season, going into training camp, there's no question. You look at Baldwin, Kurz, Lockett, Richardson, those are your top four wide receivers. The battle after that has been pretty intense this training camp. Going into this finals game, you keep your eye on.
It sure is. And unfortunately, no Casey Williams, no Tanner McAvoy. And that's a bummer because they are right in the hunt and still going to be involved in the conversations over the next 3 or 4 days. But Kenny Lawler's coming home. He's coming to the Bay Area where he was such a star at Cal, 27 touchdown receptions in his career. And he's done some nice things, but there's been some inconsistency. Likewise, Antoine Goodley, who he's going to be going up against, was a little slowed early in camp. And all he has done is with every single opportunity found a way to shine. Those two will battle it out, CURT, and not just with those wide receiver reps. Keep an eye in special teams because both are going to be asked to do something that's not necessarily been a strength in their young careers, but it will be one of those judgments over the next 3 or 4 days as this kind of management and team has got to make some real critical decisions at the bottom of the roster.
Well, you don't get a chance to show off on special teams if you're fighting to be the backup quarterback. Trevon Boykin came into camp trying to prove that he could indeed be the number 2 as an undrafted rookie. Has he done enough to prove that?
I think he's done enough to Coach Carroll. Coach Carroll loves upside. Right, he's willing to take some risks that maybe others won't with the youth. And Trevon, I'll tell you what I really appreciate about him. He is very genuine with who he is. Every time that we have met with him, and it's been now 3 times in this preseason, he has been unwavering. He's confident. He's got an athletic arrogance. You could see it. He's loose. He's free. He's easy. He's a little bit different than Russell in their approach. Yet, CURT, I think what is so appealing is his game, his skill set and style very much matches the way that Pete and these fired-up Seahawks want to get going.
And they are indeed fired up. That doesn't look like a team that's just going out for the 4th preseason just to finish it off, does it? Well, I don't know what this means, but the Seahawks have won the toss and deferred to the second half. That's been the case every single week this preseason. 4 for 4, they've won the toss, and 4 for 4, they've decided to put the defense on the field first and let the opposing team start it off. Pete Carroll, now in his 7th year, has really, I don't think you need to sell anybody on what he has done to turn this program around. One that people all around the National Football League look at and try to emulate wherever they are.
And you can maybe say this Oakland team does as much as anybody. A lot of former Seahawks, Bruce Irvin and Malcolm Smith, former coaches, Ken Norton running the defensive side of the ball. Reggie McKenzie, the GM, John Schneider spent 9 years together in Green Bay. There's a lot of familiarity both in personnel and really in style as well, as Jack Del Rio's trying to get his Raiders to the championship level that Pete Carroll's built.
And so, as we mentioned, the Seahawks will kick things off. Stephen Hauschka, who has had a fantastic, and I do mean fantastic preseason, will kick it for the Seahawks back deep. Jalen Richard in his own end zone for the Raiders.
Fair to say it's been Hawksome?
It has been Hawksome for a lot of these Seahawks as Seattle comes in 2-1, trying to finish off the preseason, more importantly than anything, healthy. but also with one more victory is Hauschka. Kicks it deep. Richard takes a knee. And if you've seen any preseason football this year, you know that after the touchback, it comes out to the 25-yard line, and Matt McGloin, the number 2 quarterback on the depth chart for the Raiders, will get the start tonight. Derek Carr and a lot of these Raider players will not be playing tonight.
No, and these two teams very familiar. Matt McGloin's had some good games against the Seahawks over the last couple years. They're now going to end the preseason for the 11th consecutive time playing against one another. Two schemes that are similar, and McGloin, I think, has got a good feel for what the Seahawks like to do defensively.
First down from the 25. McGloin off the play fake. Seth Roberts, and Mike Morgan forces him out of bounds after a 7-yard pickup. All right, we're going to put these offensive lineups up there, but don't hold us to it. The Raiders are not going to play a lot of guys tonight, but they wouldn't say which guys would play, which guys won't play, how much they will play if they do at all. So that's who's scheduled to start this evening.
And on the other side, I love Pete Carroll's philosophy. He never focuses on the downside and the risk. You're going to see that number 1 defense play this entire series, and won't surprise me to see the number 1 offense do the same.
From the 32. On DeAndre Washington, going to be stopped about a yard short of the first down. Bobby Wagner in there on the stop. And Wagner is another one of those guys. We talk about good preseasons. This Seahawks defense, the first unit, has played consistently well.
And Jordan Hill is going to get maybe a little bit more run than any of those other guys. He looks like he's going to go. Jaron Reed still working back from some injury. There you see the best linebacking crew in the NFL and arguably the best secondary as well. Plenty of experience. And these guys love to play. I mean, they want this opportunity. They don't look for chances to put on the ball cap and put in the sunflower seeds. Even though it's the 4th preseason game, they want to get a sweat going, they want to get some run, and they want to finish the preseason strong.
Well, they need to stop the Raiders from getting a yard here, and they do just that. DeAndre Washington didn't even get back to the line of scrimmage. Bobby Wagner pushing the pile back, and a bunch of Seahawks there to wrap up that one.
And that's big number 93, Tony McDaniel, who, I'm talking to the Seahawks folks yesterday, they have been so pleasantly surprised. You see that penetration, you see him get off blocks. Bobby Wagner is in the backfield. He reads, he diagnoses. But Tony McDaniel, pretty remarkable that he was sitting on the streets just 2 weeks ago and now has a wonderful shot to really be playing against the Dolphins 11 days from now.
Here's Marquette King, one of the better punters in the league. Tyler Lockett, the Pro Bowl return man. Calls for the fair catch, makes it at the 11-yard line. So the Seahawks will take over from there for the first time. We'll see what they do. Here is Russell Wilson and company. Get ready to take the field for the first time tonight. And he's one of the few quarterbacks that will start and play during this last game. And you see his numbers there so far from last week's contest against the Cowboys, and looked really good.
And it's going to be Gary Gilliam, at least the first time out here. That right tackle spot is up for grabs tonight. And I think this is appropriate. I think this is Gary Gilliam's job until he proves otherwise. These 5 have started every preseason game. That's the kind of continuity you want. And Gary knows that Jamarcus Webb is breathing right down his neck.
Gilliam at the start of training camp was playing over at the left tackle. They thought they'd switch him there to replace Russell Okung, but Jamarcus Webb got injured with a knee. Gilliam went back to where he had been last season and has been the guy through all 4 preseason games at that right tackle spot so far, but now battling Webb to be the starter week 1 as Christian Michael dances around, and Michael is going to lose a couple yards on the first play. And here's a look at the Seahawk offense, and these have been the guys who've started all preseason. They start tonight. Don't know how much they will play, but they come right back. Line of scrimmage, running hurry-up offense. Loss of 2 on the first play. Wilson, Luke Wilson, out across the 30-yard line. A nice pickup on 2nd and long, and the Seahawks move the chains.
And I love the tempo. If you're going to only play one series, then you can see Russell get the guys right to the line of scrimmage, continue to work on some things, take advantage of the opportunity.
22 yards on that pickup. Michael picks up just about a yard on the play.
And lots of new pieces like the offense with the Raiders. They're more than willing tonight to give their backups plenty of opportunity to prove what they can do.
Michael out wide to the left at the top of your screen. Russell Wilson through the hands of Jermaine Kearse, incomplete.
This play-action pass is going to continue with a big offensive line that wants to be run first to be a huge part of the Seahawks offense. It has been for years with Luke and Russell and the rest of those tight ends, Jimmy Graham as well. But as big and powerful and run-first identity as this team will still employ, don't sleep on those tight ends and Luke Wilson's ability to get down the field.
C.J. Preseason now in on third down. The third-round rookie out of Notre Dame. And this is what the Seahawks are looking for him to do during the regular season. Come in and be that third down back as Russell Wilson with time. Zips it along the sideline a little bit too hard. Luke Wilson can't catch it in bounds. And the Seahawks are forced to punt.
That was intended for number 82, Luke Wilson. Sean Ryan, number 9, on the punt.
Ooh, that looks like that knee, and again, like we saw last week, one elbow equals 2 feet. That knee comes down, and he has control. That should be a reception, but they won't take another look.
Yeah, and the Seahawks don't challenge that. So instead, John Ryan punting to DeAndre Washington, but he goes out of bounds. Incomplete. He goes out of bounds, and so they will take it over at the 45-yard punt by Ryan, who's had a good preseason campaign as well.
About 9 yards less than the 54-yard average he's had in the first 3 games of the preseason, and sure enjoyed catching up with Brian Schneider yesterday. We don't get many opportunities to talk to the special teams coach throughout the course of training camp and the season, and he takes all the credit for Hauschka and Ryan, and appropriately so, for everything they've done this preseason.
He says all the good punts and kicks are his. The assistants are responsible for the bad ones, and there haven't been many bad ones this preseason. And the Seahawks have already taken their starting unit out on defense. DeAndre Washington, similar results. Quentin Jefferson catches him a yard before he even got back to the line of scrimmage.
They have, but you notice 31 still in there, and I like that. I like the fact that Cam Chancellor, who missed a couple weeks early in the preseason, is still in here getting some reps and opportunities. I think you saw last week, and give Ezekiel Elliott a ton of credit. And there's not many backs that are going to challenge Cam Chancellor, but he needs to get his legs underneath him, and I like the added opportunity and run with the number 2s here.
Three receivers in for the Raiders. McGloin from the shotgun. Out of the backfield, DeAndre Washington again. Slipped by Kevin Pierre-Louis and Brock Coyle. Finally caught from behind by Cassius Marsh. But a couple of missed tackles by the Seahawks. And Washington picks up 19 yards.
And you can see Thurl Simon. You're seeing more and more teams employ this. The Seahawks do it offensively. And he's asking for a little bit of what the offense calls a rub route. Defenders are going to say, hey, listen, that's a pick play. And be it with a very athletic running back like DeAndre Washington, you want to get him out there and use your wide receiver to just brush into Thurl Simon, Kevin Pierre-Louis in that case as well. Make those 2 guys try to communicate, get over the top of that rub route. They can't, and the first down completion underneath.
At the 39-yard line. Richard. And Jalen Richard hit hard by Cam Chancellor after Marcus Burley made the initial contact.
And we've learned over the years that's what 31 does best. There is not a better strong safety that's going to come up and provide the force that Cam Chancellor is. That's the outside toss. There you see Mr. Burley trying to do all he can at that initial contact. Marcus right there. And then there comes 230 pounds to clean it up.
On the dirt part of the field, and McGloin going up top, down the sideline, incomplete. And Seth Roberts had a step on Thurl Simon, but couldn't hook up.
And there's a little bit of an impact. You see Cam Chancellor come up in force, and I guarantee you this, Seth Roberts, that wide receiver, has watched Cam Chancellor enough through the years come out of center field and just splatter guys on the sideline. A double move. Farrell does a nice job. That little contact, you can see. You see Seth Roberts' eyes? I lay out for that ball. 31's going to put his helmet right into my chest, dislodge me. Bit of a business decision right there from Seth.
Do you blame him?
No.
Especially in a preseason game. Here's McGloin on third down, scrambling, directing traffic. Catch is made along the sideline, and that's to his tight end, Michael Rivera.
I'll tell you who I do blame a little bit, though, Kurt, and that's quarterback. And that's Matt McGloin. He's got a double move. You've got to find a way to control Cam Chancellor in the middle of the field with your eyes, with your shoulders. And the minute you pump and you continue to look that way, guess what Cam Chancellor is doing? He's tracking it the entire way. It's also a quarterback's job to protect his receivers down the field. And when you stare something down, well, they're awfully vulnerable.
Tyler Lockett's second chance at a punt return. He stepped out of bounds right there at the 13-yard line. They'll mark it. Maybe the 14. And the Seahawks will get their second opportunity. Trevon Boykin will get his first. The second time the Seahawks have had the ball tonight, no score so far. And a reminder, the Seahawks football is presented by Washington's Lottery. Play Seahawks Scratch from Washington's Lottery. It's absolutely awesome. Go to WALottery.com for details. Boykin now in at quarterback, but still the starting offensive line for the most part, with the exception of right tackle. Jamarcus Webb is in there. Otherwise, it's all backups besides the offensive line.
And Thomas Rawls.
First time he's played this preseason.
There's a good look at the big fella Webb, and I like getting the chance to run with the number ones here, kind of get that timing, the feel. We tried to show through some different plays this season how those guys have to work in unison, not just quarterbacks and receivers, but the big fellas up front. And I think the real news here, Thomas Rawls gets his first action of the preseason.
Rawls is deep in the eye on first down. His first carry. Welcome back. Hitting the backfield. No chance to even get back to the line of scrimmage. Jihad Ward stops him, but that's probably what Rawls wants, not having had any contact since last December.
Tom Gable calls him combative. I think that's going to be my new favorite word when it comes to describing Thomas's game. And it's a nature that just fuels that entire group offensively in that line. But I'll tell you, that's 3 runs and 3 wins by that Oakland D-line.
Here's Rawls again. Scoots through and crosses the 20. Of course, Thomas Rawls trying to come back from that devastating ankle injury last season. Broke the ankle, tore the ligaments in December, spent the offseason rehabbing, was on the PUP, physically unable to perform in the starter training camp, and now has come in, got 2 carries, and that's probably going to be his preseason. But just what he wanted. Two carries, he got 8 yards. Now CJ Prosise in on third down. Boykin, first pass, batted down to the line of scrimmage. So it'll be a 3 and out for the Seahawks. Danico Autry swatted that one away.
And Autry playing for the injured Mario Edwards there, and that's just unfortunate. I like the timing, and you can see Boykin, he's going right where he wants to go. There's going to be a completion to Paul Richardson, who does a nice job setting down in that route. Justin Britt says, don't do that. And those linemen often taught, if that D lineman wants to jump, then you can go ahead and hit him in the gut as hard as you would like.
All right, John Ryan on the punt. DeAndre Washington back deep. Flags down. And so is Washington. Tyvis Powell with a good special teams tackle. One of those guys looking to show that he deserves an opportunity to play as a backup, but more importantly on special teams.
And a pretty good snap, too.
John Hussey, our referee.
During the kick, holding receiving team number 40. That 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the end of the kick. First down, timeout.
That's on the Raiders' Kenneth Durden. So it'll back Oakland up a bit more, and the Seahawks will watch them start deep in their own territory as we reach the midway point of this opening period. Got his first action of the preseason. Couple of carries. And I think he's ready for the regular season. And if he can do anything like he did once he took over last season, I think everybody will be impressed. We'll see, once he took over as a starting back, leading the NFL in yards per carry after contact was the same story.
Yeah, I think that's the most impressive. A lot of running backs in this league you get to this point professionally because you can get the yards that are there. It's the special ones that run through that contact that have the vision to also get outside and make the explosive play. Sherman Smith, running back coach, sitting there looking at those 2 runs with Thomas. And you just saw him sprint. I mean, he finished that second down run, and he probably knew, like you had said, that he's done for the night, and he just sprinted back to that sidelines. He can't wait after months and months and months of rehab to really get after it in 10 days against the Dolphins.
Raiders start at the 23. McGloin scrambling, picks up the first down and slides right in front of Keenan Lambert just out of the 40-yard line, but Matt McGloin showing some running ability there.
And he's going to be there too. Connor Cook was drafted in the 4th round. I think there was some expectation that he would compete and Connor would push McGloin, who's been here, who started some games. But this is exactly what you want, a guy that's been in the system, that knows that Derek Carr is the guy, and I think the Oakland A's would grade that slide pretty well in the second base.
Yeah, exactly. Slides right there on the dirt part of the, I guess it has to be the infield, even though it's in football. Nothing else to call it, right? McGloin drops back. Richard out of the backfield. Kelsey McRae finally pulls him down. Game 7.
And Kelsey's turned himself into a very valuable asset that's going to play both free safety and is capable of playing strong safety. As I think we've seen with Cam over the years, as much as Cam Chancellor throws that body around, you better have somebody that's capable to back him up, and they've got immense confidence in a Kelsey McRae, and not many that can play both of those positions, especially in this scheme. If you're a quarter scheme, 2 safety scheme, maybe you can play both of those sides. They're somewhat interchangeable. Free safety, strong safety has to do very different things in the Seahawks defense.
Richard fights his way back to the line of scrimmage, but that's going to be it. Good job of converging on the football. Brock Coyle led the way, but a bunch of guys in white jerseys there to help out. In this first time in the preseason the Seahawks have worn white.
Nice job here by Brock Coyle. When these coaches and folks in the Seahawks organization say cut it loose, Brock Coyle has been cutting it loose the last 2 weeks. He forced that initial cut, that penetration, so that Jordan Hill and the rest of those D linemen could gang up and tackle. And Quentin Jefferson, how about 7 tackles on the preseason, leading all of his defensive lineman mates.
A guy who's quietly made a lot of noise, if that makes sense. Here's McGloin. Under pressure, Frank Clark chases him out of the pocket and forces him just to get rid of the football.
And that's exactly what Chris Richard and Pete Carroll want to see tonight. A 4-man rush get home. We saw the 4-man rush earlier where McGloin was able to step up. Nice little inside twist from Frank Clark, who, kind of like Cam Chancellor, is going to continue to get run for different reasons. Whereas Cam was fighting back from injury, Frank Clark is a guy that's moving more to that Bruce Irvin, that Leo pass rusher in nickel situations, and you can't get a young guy like him enough reps.
Here's the punt from Marquette King. High, booming kick. He got more of that than he wanted through the end zone. 56 yards on the punt by King. And so the Seahawks will take it over at the 20-yard line. Thomas Rawls saying thank you very much for his preseason action. Pete Carroll saying let's all just get through this game safely. The regular season begins just 10 days from now in Miami. Come to visit CenturyLink, and if you want to be a part of that or any regular season game this year at CenturyLink Field, reserve your seat today and experience the roar of the loudest stadium in the NFL and our newest selection of concession options that will make your mouth water. A select number of single game tickets are available, but they are going fast.
These 12s love to travel. Saw a bunch of them at Beast Mode's shop, which is just
You went there today?
Yeah, I did go there today. Right down from the hotel. A lot of the Seahawks players were there with the night game. Some opportunity to get out of the hotel. And even Marshawn Lynch was there himself, peddling a lot of his wares. And I'm going to guess one of his better days of sales in some time with a number of Seahawks fans and players in the house.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch retired now, of course. Grew up here in Oakland. Boykin. Crossing route. Joe Summers. And the big tight end rumbles his way out across the 45-yard line. 26 yards on the pickup by Summers.
Yeah, the rookie undrafted free agent from Wisconsin, Oshkosh. We've not called his name this preseason, but that tight end room's been a little bit beat up with injuries. Jimmy Graham obviously is working to get back. No Brandon Williams, no Tanner McAvoy. So, like most fourth preseason games around the league, you're going to get some opportunity. Actually, there is Brandon, who just lays out the Oakland safety, freeing up Joe to move the sticks in a big way.
Yeah, Seahawks have used a lot of two tight end formations when healthy this preseason. Here's Boykin. And that's caught by Easy Wachaku.
And there's that exact concept we talked about on the other side, that little rub route that you're seeing more and more teams. Really, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning have employed it for years and years. And the Seahawks, with a Doug Baldwin and a Tyler Lockett, are going to do it as well as anybody. He's looking up at the big screen because that's all about feel and timing and making sure that you're rubbing your defender off at the right time. That time with Kenny Lawler trying to gain as much separation as he can.
CJ Preseason in the game, but spread out wide to the left. Boykin goes that way, Preseason for the catch, but he goes down right away. Now, Preseason, obviously drafted in the third round as a running back out of Notre Dame, but he was a wide receiver until his senior year there, so very comfortable catching passes.
He was very comfortable last week as well, rushing the ball. That's going to be the sweet spot. That's where he's going to be very natural, and the Seahawks like their empty formations to begin with, and I think that's some of the places that they envision him really capitalizing on a skill set he's incredibly comfortable with.
Bringing him in these types of third down situations. Needing 4. Kenny Lawler, first down, Seahawks. 7th round pick out of Cal with the catch. 11 yards by number 11.
And there's the two guys we talked about in the open, both actually helping one another. You know, this is Lawler and Goodley at the bottom, and just watch the timing here and watch the receiver selling his route. You can't just come in and pick that guy clean. You can see Goodley. He's going to come almost like a setting a pick in basketball, but you've got to avoid, make that defender go over the top, look back at the quarterback, and create the easy pitch and catch.
From the Oakland 36, Easy Wachaku, flags go fly. Wachaku brought down. Corey James on the tackle. Let's see what the penalty marker's for. It's going to come back.
Pass interference. Offense number 19. 10-yard penalty. Third down. First down, correction.
Doug McNeil called for the pass interference on offense, and that's one of the things, if you're fighting for a roster spot, you certainly don't want your name called that way.
No, and that's one of the trade-off of some of those style of routes where you're coming down and you're either trying to influence, as you'd like to say, offensively, or as Pete Carroll will say, that the New Englands, the Green Bays, the New Orleans do a good job of picking people off. But you do it enough, you make it as much of an emphasis as some of these teams do. Those side judges will start to look at that contact.
1st and 20 now. Preseason. First run of this series by the Seahawks, and he only picks up a yard.
And you can take a look at that offensive line, Kurt, and you'll notice something that stands out. A lot of the number 2s are in there. You see Odiambo, you see Hunt, you see Evans, and that crew has been playing together this preseason, but who's at right tackle? Gary Gilliam is still at right tackle. And you're going to see Gary Gilliam and Jamarcus Webb. This was intentional. Both these guys knew exactly what the case would be as those two continue to battle it out.
Preseason now at the bottom of your screen. Boykin, pump fake. And throws it away. Wise decision.
That's some of the growth and evolution. We've called it command. I think this preseason, you kind of run out of different ways of just talking about leading a huddle and leading an offense. But it's plays like that. That's going to be a plus play. It wasn't a clean picture for him. He thought he had that initial read. He pulls it down. And instead of trying to make something, what did he say to us yesterday? He just wants to simplify the game. He does by throwing it away.
He said make it simple.
3rd and 10. That's right.
It's not that hard is what he said. And he has to convince himself of that. Draw play, precise. Just trying to pick up a couple of yards here. And that's all he gets. Gain of about 2.
And one of the things I've liked about Trevon from the very beginning, before that Kansas City game, he said, my goal is to score points. And you're going to see continued conversation here with Pete and with Trevon and Darrell Bevell. And my hunch, without being able to listen in, is that's going to be probably a language thing, a formation thing, a read thing, just the continued evolution of a young quarterback getting valuable opportunities.
And that's also going to be the end of the first quarter. No score from either team. Each side has had it 3 times. Each time they punted. We'll see what happens here as we get ready for the start of the second quarter of this preseason finale from Oakland. To start the second quarter here in Oakland, Cam Chancellor's played a couple of series in that first quarter, probably as much as any starter on defense for the Seahawks. And then you see, of course, what he has done throughout his career. I don't think Seahawks fans need any reminder.
But you want him back. And last year, did not play in these preseason games. Tried to get his legs back during the regular season. Difficult to do. But he is a tackling machine. He is a force. And he's a guy that when he is right, along with Earl Thomas on the back end, it just sets the tone for everybody else. Not just the personality and leadership of the Legion of Boom, but just very specifically about the role he plays around the line of scrimmage, and then obviously the role his battery mate Earl Thomas plays to eliminate the big plays down the field.
Here's John Ryan's punt, a high kick. And DeAndre Washington makes it at the 5-yard line. Well, this is exactly what you want out of Ryan. The numbers are only 36 yards, but he pins them down deep in their own territory, and that's where they'll start off here to start this second period. See when you hear it in person, but when you're at home, are you tired of missing the action because of where you live? They won't let you install a dish? Well, NFL Sunday Ticket and DirecTV are here to save your Sundays. You can now stream the most live NFL games and watch every out-of-market contest at one low cost. Visit NFLST.directv.com/Seahawks for more information. Got that, Brock?
Got it. And they got a nice tackle there from Kevin Pierre-Louis. And one of these Seahawks is going to play a ton here tonight that's really got to pull the trigger, play very fast and aggressive. And there's a look at Connor Cook, much like these youngsters on the Seahawks team vying for a spot. Connor, 4th-round pick. And typically fourth-round picks are not released. But this is Matt McGloin's number 2 job, and Connor's got to continue to get better. And talking to the Raider people, it's been a model of inconsistency this month of August in these preseason games.
3-year starter at Michigan State.
And the winningest quarterback in the history of that program.
Here's a pass. Oh, threw that one into traffic. Lucky it wasn't intercepted. It's caught by KJ Brent, who fights his way out to the 20-yard line before being stopped. Brock Coyle making the tackle.
That picture a little bit reflective of exactly what I was talking about.
Exactly.
It was actually the right decision, but he throws it woefully inside here, and thus brings the safety into play. You have got to feel where the safety's coming down. Keenan Lambert right there, and he's kicking himself. Because when a quarterback misses like that, Keenan with an opportunity to take it away, but a better job by Rivera to come back to the football.
A little more breathing room now. Here's DeAndre Washington. Kelsey McCray catches him. Washington falls forward for a gain of 3. Well, you mentioned Kelsey McCray, and he's a good example of, yes, the 53-man roster is to be set for every team in the NFL on Saturday. This time last year, Kelsey McCray wasn't even here.
Yep.
The Seahawks make a trade for him right before the start of the regular season, and now he's a vital part of this defense here in preseason number 2.
Which is a vital part no matter how good your roster is, and the Seahawks is the envy of many around the league. But just kind of a reminder of what these 3 or 4 days around the league is. You're lopping the rosters from 75 to 53.
Cook to Washington. Kevin Pierre-Louis missed another tackle. Frank Clark finally stops it, along with Ty Smith.
And you can see, Kevin, he is barking right there. Kevin Pierre-Louis, that's the strength of his game. He is a guy that very few can get outside of in his containment. He knows, and he knows the importance of these opportunities, these reps. But you just as quickly as you're angry and frustrated, you've got to flush that out of your system to go 100 miles per hour on that next snap.
Put it all behind you quickly. First down.
Cannot let one bad play turn into 2 or 3 and affect you in the drive.
DeAndre Washington again. Cuts it back up the middle. Seahawks stop him after a 1-yard pickup. Maybe you look at Chris Richard. Former Seahawk player, now in his second season as defensive coordinator. And we talked to him and said, hey, this is the same defense no matter whether it's you, Gus Bradley, and Dan Quinn. Now you get to run it. But do you all try and put your own stamp on it? He said no. He says, my job is to put the guys in the right position, not try to put my stamp on it.
It's been pretty good through the years, and pretty good with Pete at USC, where Chris played. Actually, 21 players and coaches between these two teams from that USC program through the years. Pretty remarkable.
You think they had some talent down there when Pete was coaching? Connor Cook throws that one too low for Jalen Richard.
And those two are in a battle. Jalen Richard, undrafted rookie free agent from Southern Miss. DeAndre Washington, and this is a little more of what the Raiders like to do. They're not the run-first identity of the Seahawks, so they really like to spread the ball around. They've got 4 or 5 capable receivers. They're really looking for a change of pace to Latavius Murray, and that's DeAndre Washington, and that's this kid you're seeing, Jalen Richard from Southern Miss. It is a dynamic little running back / wide receiver.
Seahawks defense trying to get the Raiders off the field again on 3rd down. Oakland 0 for 3 on 3rd down so far tonight. They need 9 yards here. Here comes the pressure. Cook. Incomplete. Marvin Hall, the former Husky, was there on the left side. He stopped running as he had a little trouble getting down the field, and then you see a replay.
Yeah, and that's some man coverage outside, and the quarterback expecting him to take that route deep, and unfortunately he doesn't. And even more unfortunate, it's the right tackle there for the Oakland Raiders, Austin Howard.
Has yet to get up. And the right guard, Vidal Alexander, was slow to get up as well. So both guys on the right side a little banged up on that play. We'll have a timeout. Limping off the field, but he is walking without help. So that's always a good sign. You never want to see anybody limping here in this final. Well, never want to see anybody limping, period, but especially in this last preseason game. Tyler Lockett back deep, standing at his 15-yard line to take this punt from Marquette King. 7 possessions combined. This is the 7th punt. King booms that one. Lockett signals for the fair catch, but watches it go over his head and into the end zone for a 65-yard punt by King.
65 yards on that punt.
Presented by Washington's Lottery. Play Seahawks Scratch from Washington's Lottery. It's absolutely awesome. Go to WALottery.com for details. Just under 11 minutes left to go here in the first half. Seahawks take it over the 20-yard line after the touchback.
And a pressure look here, empty as Boykin's looking and scanning the field.
CJ Procise to his left, spread out wide. Boykin out of the pocket, going to be sacked. Danico Autry with the first sack of the ball game.
Yeah, and Autry's had a nice game. We saw him show up in the run game. He's playing a little bit for Mario Edwards, who looks like he's going to be slow to start the season. And that's Autry on Odiambo there, the left guard. And you see the quick initial burst, whether it's getting your hands on that offensive lineman first, or in that case, making sure that old lineman can't get his hands on you. He gains the edge. He gets the sack on Boykin.
Jamarcus Webb back in at right tackle. Your guy George Fenn at left tackle. Here's Boykin. Stepping back under pressure again. Sacked again. Back-to-back sacks by this Raider defense. This time it's Shalik Calhoun. And a 3rd-round pick out of Michigan State.
So Diambo the first time, this time on your right side, and that looks just like some miscommunication between Jamarcus Webb and Jari Evans, two guys that have played a ton of ball, and you would think if guys are going to get on the same page on this O-line, it would actually be those two of the most seasoned, but they don't, and the sack backs the Hawks way up. Got to be careful with the ball in this situation.
Back-to-back sacks, so third and very long. Inside the 10. CJ Prosise said, and the flags come flying before the ball was snapped.
Third down.
Well, we said in the open, Kurt, there's going to be good moments for Trevon Boykin, and there was some efficiency in the previous drive before the offensive pass interference derailed it, and in this case, you got back-to-back sacks. And this is as important as anything else, as any completion is to have poise like that guy always displays. Good, bad, or ugly, you never see it or feel it with Russell Wilson. Trevon Boykin's got to do the same as he continues to lead his team.
Didn't get that last snap off before the play clock wound down. So after the delay of game penalty, they're inside the 5. Just give it to Prosise and get out of here.
Yeah, this is really the first time all preseason in the 3 matchups, Kurt, where we've seen the opposing front 7 really control the action at the line of scrimmage. Seattle ran it very well at Kansas City. They ran it against Minnesota. They ran it against Dallas last week. Having a hard time pushing these young Raiders around. Another nice play there by Shalik Calhoun, their 3rd-round pick from Michigan State. A very solid player.
Plenty of room for John Ryan. DeAndre Washington. Raiders going to have good field position. Big block downfield, but a big flag as well. And there's another flag. Let's see what the first one's for. John Hussey trying to sort this out with his crew, but
During the return, holding, receiving team number 32. 10-yard penalty, first down.
so it's not on the block, it's actually a hold. Antonio Hamilton. And he's trying to plead his case on the sideline. Like, what did I do? What did I do? Doesn't matter, going to back him up. Still good field position. The Seahawks defense will see what they can do to try and force yet another punt. They've been perfect so far tonight. Well, it's been a punt fest so far. 8 possessions, 4 by each team. 8 punts, 4 by each team so far, as we're 8 minutes, 12 seconds away from halftime here. The scoreless contest as we wrap up the preseason here. Seattle at Oakland, and down there on the sidelines, a guy who's got the ball cap on for quite a bit tonight, Cliff Averill. First of all, thanks for joining us, Cliff.
Thanks for having me.
All right, preseason's all done for you as a player. Oh, you got the smile already, huh?
Yes.
Ready for the regular season, I can see.
Yes, I am, man. Ready to, try to make this journey to the championship, but just play some football that actually counts. That's the biggest thing.
How do you know you and your battery mates up front are ready, Cliff?
I think we are, man. We got some vet guys that's leading the group, so I think we're ready to make some things happen, go out there and just play physical, have fun, and I think the guys behind us will take care of everything else.
You got to like what the guys behind you did just then. Justin Hamilton getting a sack.
That's good, man. That's my young guys, man. I love seeing my young guys get some plays and making some things happen.
This is your 5th year with the Seahawks. Everybody in that D-line room is a young guy compared to you.
Everybody is a young guy in the defense compared to me, honestly. But, the guys are coming around, man. They're doing some great things. Me, Mike Bennett, Tony, and those guys are trying to bring those guys along as fast as possible, as quick as possible, so we can make this journey together.
We saw and we showed you guys as a group, as a team, getting there in the huddle and dancing and jumping. The Oakland Raider fans booing. They didn't like it. Why? Why do you guys get so excited to play in these games?
Man, that's just something we do. Home or away, we're going to get together right before the game and make some, come together and embrace this opportunity to go out here and play championship football, and that's just part of our routine.
How remarkable is it? You mentioned Tony McDaniel, that he's backpacking 2 weeks ago. Wasn't in anybody's organization the entire offseason, and comes in the shape he is and contributing right away. How do you do that?
I mean, that's a true professional. You know, he was ready for whoever was going to give him a call, and he was ready to come in and step in, and that's what he did. You know, he came in shape, came in, you know, playing low for a guy that's that old. You know, usually, you know, you got to kind of work your way into to being able to play football. And he came in, stepped in, and did some great things for us immediately.
Did you just call him old?
He's a little older than me. I think this is his 11th season, so he's the old head in the room now.
Oh, I see.
Well, this is your 9th season.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that we talk so much about this final preseason game are the young guys who this could be their last opportunity. They're fighting to make a roster.
Yeah.
They're trying, whether here or somewhere else. Give us your perspective as a guy who doesn't have to worry about that, but you've been through the training camp and the battles with these young guys. What it's like for you to watch them try and chase their dream and have that knock on the door?
I think the biggest thing for them is to go out there and to understand that each game, especially during the preseason, is a resume. If the Seahawks don't keep you, you know, there's 31 other teams. So you got to go out there and put on a good show, regardless of what it is. You know, just play fast. That's my biggest thing to them, is playing fast and being physical and showing the rest of the league that you can play in this league.
Which way do you do it? I've seen some veterans who get really emotional because they get close to the guys when they're here.
Yeah.
And I've seen other guys who just ignore guys when they're young, don't bother with them so they don't get attached.
I've tried both approaches, but I think it's not fair. You know, when I was coming up, that's how guys treated me, but I don't think it's fair. I think, you know, for me, I feel like it's my obligation to go out there and show these guys how to be a pro and show them what they need to do to be successful in this league, and that's all I can do. Lead by example, and hopefully some of the guys catch on.
Well, go give them a little love. That was a nice 3 and out. Now the
Yes.
9th punt of this game.
Awesome.
If they get it off. Thanks a lot, Cliff.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, buddy. All craziness going on that one. We saw Marquette King have trouble getting it off. Some Raiders took off and went downfield early because they thought it would be off by now, and so we'll just do this all again. But Cliff Averill showing you what kind of makes this defensive unit so special. Good guys, good character guys who root for one another.
An eligible member of the kicking team downfield, number 50. Seattle's elected to re-kick. That 5-yard penalty will be enforced from the previous spot. 4th down.
And this is a little bit rare, too, because it's been the Seahawks that have been heavily penalized this preseason. Point of emphasis for Pete this week coming into this game. The Seahawks just 1 penalty. That's now the 3rd for the Raiders tonight. Wanted to clean that up. Always asked his guys to play 2 through, and maybe at times through the echo even of that whistle. So you live with a few of the penalties, but nice to see the Seahawks through the first half here really clean up that element of the game.
Well, you know that's going to happen anytime you have trouble on special teams on a snap or a mishandled punt. Those guys kind of time it. They can't look back and try and get downfield based on how long it should take to get off. And this time, Marquette King gets it off cleanly. Another big booming punt, and Tyler Lockett has yet to return one. Makes the fair catch of that one inside the 10. So far, it's been all about punters and defense. No score. There's no place like Home Street Bank. No points on the scoreboard for either squad so far. 6.5 minutes left to go in this preseason finale's first half. Seahawks back deep in their own territory, 2nd straight possession. Boykin hands it off, Alex Collins. And the first carry of the night for Collins.
And he's got to go. And I would like to see Alex Collins comes into tonight with just 9 carries, 18 yards. I would really like to see him get it going. He's not gotten many opportunities. He's been the short yardage guy, but he's got to explode. You don't gain 3,000 plus yards in the SEC if you don't have an extra gear. We've yet to see that in preseason games, and he just needs to show it tonight. He needs to be a difference maker.
5th round pick out of Arkansas.
And that was a good start.
7 yards on the first down. Alone in the backfield. There's movement on the right side of the line before the snap.
Full start. Offense number 62. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Okay, so there's probably a little conversation here between veteran Jari Evans played a ton of ball with the quarterback. You have got to get us on the same page. We saw the delay of game earlier, having awareness of the play clock. It's difficult when you're backed up. This is when it's going to be the loudest in these environments, even in a 4th preseason game without a sold-out house. You still have to communicate and lead and really command not just that huddle, but that line of scrimmage as well, as Evans is trying to get a start on the snap count. Got to be on the same page.
Backed up to the 10. Collins, nowhere to run. Loses a couple of yards on that one. And this is back-to-back possessions inside the 10. This offense has just not been able to do anything.
Yeah, it was the sacks that created the negative plays, and we have seen the Seahawks offense when they are at their best. And Doug Baldwin knows it, and the rest do as well. And you saw the difference last week against the Cowboys, then against the Minnesota Vikings. It's avoiding the negative plays, staying on schedule, staying ahead of those chains. You have a great 8-yard run on first down. You can't then go backwards and put yourself into these difficult third and extra long situations.
Yeah, they've given those 8 yards back, so it's 3rd and 10, and he's got to get out of the end zone. Boykin got rid of that football, but if it's a flag, then that's going to be intentional grounding, and there is. You got to get outside the tackle box in order to throw that if you're a quarterback in the end zone, or otherwise it's going to be called intentional grounding and a safety.
Or get it in the area of a receiver, and there was none.
Intentional grounding. Offense number 2. That foul occurred in the end zone, therefore it results in a safety.
Clear.
Yeah, and once again, you're going to see that time Gary Gilliam, the right tackle. He does what you have to do. You have to come down and block the first initial rusher inside. Every scheme teaches that. Be strong inside first, and then you allow that free rusher to be owned by the quarterback, and that's Trevon. And I think the lesson there is collegiately at TCU, you know what you can do? Spin around in the end zone. And you can try to make the play. But at this level, you just can't afford to do that. He wanted to keep it simple. You know what you do to keep it simple? Throw it away. Airmail it to the outside, to the boundary, and just don't put your team in a predicament like that where unfortunately that miscue causes you points. And that's the conversation here. That's a protection conversation. Okay, they're going to bring an extra defender. Gary's got to come in and squeeze, and you are responsible for that edge rusher. And trying that trick in the end zone, there's a fine line between fearless and reckless, and that's reckless.
Well, at least we got points. It's 2-0 right now, and you've seen a little bit of youth, for lack of a better term, on those last 2 possessions from Boykin. When there hasn't been a lot of territory, and you talked about the offensive line miscues, and you say you blame a little bit more on him than you do the line, and then that play.
Yeah, it's all combined, but ultimately you've got to be the great eraser for other people's mistakes.
Keenan Lambert with the stop. That was Jalen Richard on the kick return.
My goodness, Jalen.
Yeah.
You better protect yourself. Holy smokes.
Here's a live look at it.
Yeah, you don't want to stop your feet with the way guys collision you at this level. Keenan Lambert and his brother Cam Chancellor are 2 guys that love to hit. This staff loves his physical presence. Jalen did not look comfortable in space with Lambert breathing down his neck.
There's a 4-year age difference between Lambert and Cam. But what do you think the wrestling was like in their household when they were kids, huh? A couple holes in the wall, broken doors. Connor Cook, nowhere to go.
That's Connor Cook.
Steps out after a pickup of 1 yard.
I said collegiately that Connor reminded me a little bit of Matt Hasselbeck. And you see the number, you see the body, very similar guy, about 6'4". Now Connor doesn't have Matt's arm strength. Matt was a guy that could spin it all over the field. That's the one area why he dropped from being a guy going into last season as a first-round pick and the winningest quarterback in the history of their program, and played big in Rose Bowls and in big moments. But that arm strength and that accuracy have got to grow at this level.
Here's the handoff. Jalen Richard cuts it back. Brock Coyle with the stop, along with Jordan Hill. Down on the Seahawks sideline with Jermaine Kearse. Takes a little time to join us. Thanks for joining us, Jermaine.
Hi, how's it going?
All right. How are you, I'll ask?
I'm doing good. Excited to watch our young guys play, and hopefully they go out there and just compete.
Glad the preseason's done?
Yes, I'm excited for next week. It's going to be a good matchup. And just get ready to just get the season started and, just try to go out there and compete.
Jermaine, what did you and the offense get done this preseason?
We just continue to just work on our craft and just continue to go out there and be competitive and just try to work on that timing. We got a lot of good things that we want to do out there, and it was a good time to work on that.
One of the things that we often talk about on the outside is the development of Russell Wilson and how he continues to mature and get it. You've been with him now basically his whole career. Talk a little bit about just the evolution of him in the huddle and his command of the football game.
It's really cool to just see his growth, and like you said, I've been with Russell since he's been here. We both came in together, and just to see how he's matured as a leader and be able to just demand the huddle like he does now. So it's really cool to just see him go out there and lead us, and it's cool to play for him.
Jermaine, if my memory serves me correctly, wasn't it the 4th preseason game like 5 years ago? You were wearing a single digit, got a little run, not just wide receiver, running back.
My heydays when I was playing running back with number 8.
Do these games and watching these young players, and you know that guys' livelihoods are on the line, do these moments bring you back to that experience?
Yeah, definitely. You always think about the time when you were playing for a job, and Coach P, he showed a couple highlights of the CURT guys and just how they started and some of their preseason games, and that's where me playing running back came back up, and it was cool to just kind of see that, and it kind of made me want to go back and look at those preseason games and just continue to just appreciate the come up and just appreciate how hard I worked to get to this point.
Well, congratulations. You've come a long way. Still got a long way to go, though, in your career. Only in year 5. We appreciate it, Jermaine.
All right, thank you.
All right, 2-minute warning. Back in Oakland after this.
The 2-minute warning. Aaron Levine alongside Dave Wyman. And Dave, despite the offensive struggles, you have to like what you've seen out of the Seahawks defensive line throughout much of the first half.
Yeah, the defenses look great, and that's kind of what we wanted. We wanted to see them make some flashy plays, and that's what they're all about. Frank Clark, in particular, has looked great rushing the passer.
Where do we need to see improvement in the second half?
Yeah, definitely, and you don't want to see him moving up and down the field, but it's all about running the system here. But you got a lot of guys also that are out there trying to make the team and trying to, if not make it here, make it somewhere else in the NFL.
The defense trying to hunker down for the final 2 minutes of the first half. We'll be back with more stats and analysis and highlights coming up at the half, but let's go back up to CURT and Brock, guys.
All right, Aaron said it's a baseball score, 2-0. I guess they're right between second base and shortstop on the field right now. Ball's the 43-yard line.
Keep an eye right here. We chatted with Cassius Marsh last night. These are the chances, the 2-minute drive. You saw it with Frank Clark earlier. Dave was alluding to the nice pass rush. Cassius is kind of living in two worlds. Sam linebacker, pass rusher, defensive ends. Some good chances here in the final 2 minutes to work on his pass rush game.
Connor Cook going up top. Almost picked off. DeAndre Elliott had it hit him in the hands and then showed why he's a defensive back instead of a receiver.
And DeAndre, Kurt said that, not me. He reads it. Everything is right. You see the pressure here, the nickel pressure, and he's looking the whole way into that. That's his ball. He's got to go and attack that and make that. And when this defense was at its very best, and what you see there, actually the receiver, I think, knocks it away from him at the very end. You got to go get it. Don't wait for it to get to your body like a receiver. You go up and attack. Like Jason Witten last week over KJ Wright. When that ball is in the air, it is yours. Go get it.
DeAndre Washington comes out of the backfield on third down. Here comes the pressure. Underneath to Washington, but he's smothered. Brock Coyle all over it. Bring up to fourth down.
You know what's interesting here, Kurt, and Brock Coyle, that's the third really strong tackle we have seen. The stopping power that he provides at 240-some pounds. But what I find always intriguing for a Chris Richard and the defensive staff.
This will be a 30-second timeout.
Is do you want to just play your base defense, right, and let guys just play their base defense, or do you want to sometimes call a blitz, be aggressive, dictate that mindset for your guys to really let it rip? And I like what Chris Richard has done. Plenty of four-man rush, but give guys an opportunity to pin their ears back so they can go flash, as Dave Wyman would tell you, and go finish the tackles. Nice job by Brock.
Brings up another punt. So it's either been punts or safeties so far in this ball game. Defense for both teams has looked good. Both first and second units. Marquette King with another punt. Tyler Lockett back deep again. He's yet to return one. It's either been over his head or a fair catch. And this one will be the former. And it's touched by the Raiders. I think they're going to have to get together and discuss exactly where this ball is going to be spotted. Marquette King 42 yards on the punt. And there you see right there, it's touched by Johnny Holton at about, looks like about the 11-yard line. And we had one official trying to mark it inside the 1, but I think the officiating crew got together to straighten it out. Ball, wherever the kicking team touches it, is where it is spotted.
Let's see if the Seahawks can get their tempo going. We asked Trevon about that, if he's most comfortable when the tempo cranks up, and he said, no, I'm trying to get comfortable in every phase. But I do believe right now as a young player, he's at his best in moments like this.
That ball is tipped right at the line of scrimmage. Darius Latham doing it this time. It's the second time tonight that the Raider defense is swatting one down at the line of scrimmage that Boykin has thrown.
But in order to get that tempo going, and Trevon knew this at TCU, the only way you get it going is to move the chains. And there have been very few conversions, very few first downs for either unit offensively in this game, but to really get going so you can start to dictate, you've got to see that first down.
This entire second quarter, the Seahawks have been down here on offense. Inside the 10, here's Procise, and he doesn't even get back to the line of scrimmage before Shalik Calhoun wraps him up.
And if this were the regular season, my hunch is Jack Del Rio is going to take a timeout and not allow these 40 seconds to come off. And once again, just not winning at the point of attack, something very different than what we've seen this preseason.
Another 3rd and long. Boykin gets him out of there. Pass caught by Brandon Williams out across the 20. They pick up the first down.
And here's your hurry up. Here's your opportunity to now finally get into that speed and tempo that you're comfortable with.
Seahawks working with 2 timeouts. Clocking that down to 40 seconds. Boykin. Brandon Williams again. Forced out of bounds by Corey Toomer, the former Seahawk. Pick up a 4. Toomer, one of 4 ex-Seahawks that are playing linebacker now for the Raiders. Along with Malcolm Smith, Bruce Irvin, John Motulele.
You want to push the ball down the field because you know the time on the clock, but you have to be still very smart with your decisions.
Here's Boykin from the shotgun. Delayed blitz. In trouble. Boykin escapes. Still looking downfield, but runs it this time. And doesn't get out of bounds. Clock continues to run, now at 15 seconds. I think he's pleading his case that he tried to slide, but that was not a clean slide, and Boykin may be hurt. Takes the timeout to stop the clock.
Now this is what he does. I said fearless and reckless. You tell me. You take a sack, you lose 20 yards, but this is his game. This is the way that he plays.
You got to get out of bounds.
Right, yeah, there is absolutely no need whatsoever to take this shot. You got to have an awareness of where you are in the game. Save yourself a timeout, get out of bounds, and more than anything, save your body.
So they pick up 13 yards.
It feels like the game is speeding up on Trevon a little bit this first half.
It really does.
And it's not all his fault, and people tell you that. It starts with protection, starts with a run game. Everything is up against him. Field positions against him. A lack of a run game, right? Some misses in communication and protection. But even with all that chaos going on, you've got to find a way to still slow the game down.
Yeah, this is about as much as he struggled all preseason, but it's also been the most difficult positions he's been put in offensively. Threw that one too high for Brandon Williams, and Corey Toomer undercut Williams, and Brandon not happy at all.
Now the former basketball player saying, don't do that. Don't take my legs out when I go up for a dunk. Like I did when I was at Oregon University, and Toomer says, I don't care. It's clean. I mean, once again, I'll say it, that's a quarterback that's got to protect your receivers down the field. That's part of your job, is to know where people are, and you expose the ribs or the back in that case. A good clean hit there and a good shot, unfortunately, on Williams.
Boykin under pressure again as the blitz comes late. Scrambles, And this time stepped out of bounds to stop the clock with 2 ticks left. They've blitzed quite a bit here for a 4th preseason game.
Yeah, they have, but it's not exotic. I'm not
Right.
seeing safeties and corners and anything too exotic. It's largely around the line of scrimmage, and the Seahawks have done the same. It's kind of what I was saying to you that last series with the Seahawks. You want to give your guys a chance to be aggressive. And if you're Trevon Boykin here, you got to buy yourself enough time to let your receivers get down to the end zone.
He's got 3 receivers spread out to his left. Scrambling that way. Going deep. Batted around, and it falls incomplete. And that will end the first half. The only points, a safety on an intentional grounding call in the end zone against Trevon Boykin. And so the Seahawks are 1 half away from ending this preseason, down 2-0 to the Oakland Raiders. Aaron and Dave back with a halftime report right after this.
Dogs out here at halftime in Oakland, California. The Seahawks trailing the Oakland Raiders 2-0 at the half. And we take a look at the stats, and Dave, it's not just even on the scoreboard pretty much. It's pretty even across the stat sheet as well. If there's a bright side to the Hawks offense so far, it's been a lack of turnovers, no turnovers.
Yeah, that's the good news there. And then we've seen these kind of performances in the preseason by offenses in general. I mean, you look at like the Arizona Cardinals at one point, they'd only scored like 17 points in 3 games. So you're not going to see huge numbers offensively there. But it's more about individual performances that we look at in this game. And also the other good news, decent with the penalties, headed for 8. That's acceptable.
Who's helped their cause so far tonight?
Well, I think there's a couple of young guys. Keenan Lambert looked really good. He had a really nice stuff on a punt. And then DeAndre Elliott, who is a really nice corner that they have. They're so crowded at defensive back, though. That's going to be one of those where those guys are going to have to make it because of special teams. And Lambert certainly helped his case.
A really special moment in that second defensive series. We saw Keenan Lambert and his half-brother Cam Chancellor at the 2 safety positions.
Yeah, that would be awfully cool. That'd be a good story this year. But again, it's just so you and I are sitting here trying to decide, are they going to keep 9? Are they going to keep 10? So, we'll see how many defensive backs they keep. But boy, they sure have a ton of depth there.
Just 30 minutes remaining in Seattle Seahawks preseason before it all gets going for real. But let's take us home, CURT and Brock.
That was an impressive job of selling a 2-0 game at halftime in which there have been 10 punts. Good job, guys. Give me your impressions of the first half.
Yeah, not pretty.
Yeah.
If you're a defensive guy, that's what you love, and you grinded it out, but not pretty execution really for either side. And my hunch is this feels a little like that Minnesota first half, where Tom Gable or Pete Carroll are going to say, listen, guys, let's run the ball. We have to run the ball. You got to settle this thing down on the road. Trevon's running for his life. There's sacks, there's penalties. It starts with running the football. We know that. My guess and my hunch early on is the Seahawks get the ball because they deferred. They're going to get an opportunity to do just that.
Seahawks did win the toss at the start of the ball game, and as you mentioned, deferred to take it to start the second half. And we'll see if they try and run the ball here. We saw Russell Wilson come out for 1 series, then Trevon Boykin take over and really run for his life a lot of that first half in which he played. And we'll see if Boykin comes back out to start the second half, or if Jake Heaps, the number 3 quarterback, gets to start. Hasn't had much playing time at all this preseason. Will play quite a bit tonight. We'll see how soon he comes into the game. Sebastian Janikowski, a 17-year veteran, with his first action of the night, kicking this one off. Cormaine Pope. And the little guy can't get away. Runs right into the arms of James Cousins. And so Jake Heaps will come out to start the second half on the 18-yard line. Won 3 state championships at Skyline High School. Bounced around in college, finished up at the University of Miami. Spent some time in training camp with the Jets last year. Didn't make that team, and has been here throughout training camp with the Seahawks, and really hasn't had much of an opportunity to play during the preseason, but he'll get to play the entire second half, it looks, tonight. Starting from the shotgun, Alex Collins doesn't even make it back to the line of scrimmage. Darius Latham again with a tackle in the backfield.
Well, Latham has been their George fan. In talking to the Raiders folks, Latham is a guy from Indiana, he was a late round pick. He's a big bodied guy, and we've seen him bat down balls. We've seen him be a force in the middle. And that's looked unfortunate like some of Alex Collins' other opportunities this preseason. That early penetration, very little he could do in that zone read run game.
I want to ask you how you evaluate a running back when he can't get back to the line of scrimmage, as Collins has had trouble. He picks up the blitz there and allows Heaps to complete that pass. That's Clayton Eckert.
Well, that's what you want to see him do right there. Come back on a second down play and go cut the legs out of that edge defender so Jake has the opportunity to get the ball out of his hands. You can't be frustrated, but I think over these final 30 minutes for an Alex Collins, you want to see him burst and explode. You want to see Jake Heaps slow the game down and manage these calls and protection. There's still Antoine Goodley and Kenny Lawler and many guys you're evaluating here on some pretty pivotal snaps.
Seahawks need the 28. Out of the backfield, Collins. Does a lot of dancing, but the music gets stopped. No pickup on the play. Well, not exactly the way you want to start the second half. 3 and out. So here's a look at John Ryan. Jalen Richard back deep. Low kick. Richard catches it on the fly. Cuts it back. Up the middle of the field and into Seahawk territory. Keenan Lambert finally tripped him up, but a good return after a 43-yard punt by Ryan. Richard brought it back 25. So it'll be really good starting field position here in this second half for the Raiders. The Seahawk defense trying to keep them down to 2-0 lead. But with summer coming to an end and football season here, the Seahawks Pro Shop has just about everything you need to embrace fall with sweaters, hoodies, beanies, and more. Shop online or in store. Visit Seahawks.com/Pro Shop for more information. Raiders take it over in Seahawk territory. DeAndre Washington gets more down to the 45-yard line before being forced out of bounds by Ryan Robinson after a gain of 7.
Another pressure look there, and that time Connor, the perfect play called. The little flat route, the little sprint out away from that pressure. DeAndre Washington, one of those spread beneficiaries. And what I mean by that is an NFL game that still dictated the line of scrimmage, and the big fellas hurt by the proliferation of so much spread. A lot of times these scat backs, these receivers, these slot receivers get so many opportunities to make plays in the passing game like DeAndre had at Texas Tech. It's an easier transition to catch and run at this level.
Raiders with 3 tight ends, and they run it. DeAndre Washington going to be close to a first down. See what they spotted.
Maybe he's going to be about a yard short, and once again, Quentin Jefferson in this front has been very solid. 3 yards a carry is it. You see Oakland trying to get out and pull those offensive linemen in front. Probably even nicer to see Quentin getting up after getting his legs taken out. But very little running room, very little lanes here for Oakland to get going.
3rd and a yard. Cook zips that one, completes it, picks up the first down. KJ Brett, rookie free agent out of Wake Forest, on a gain of 12.
And that's on Ty Smith. And keep an eye on Ty Smith here in the second half. He's one of those guys. We talked about the secondary room, Kurt, in the open of this show, and just how competitive that unit is. Trying to play some man coverage. That's a difficult one as the receiver's running away from you. Has the entire field to run away from you on that play action pass. But Ty has got to do his best to play as fast as he can.
First down, Raiders. From the 22, Cook. Out of the backfield, George Atkinson, and he dropped it. Nothing between him and the end zone. And he may have been looking ahead instead of concentrating on catching that football.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. And very rarely do you see busts like this and receivers that open, and unfortunately it looked like Longa there. The linebacker eyes are in the backfield, and Atkinson free releases, does everything right, but bring it in and touchdown.
Atkinson, the son of the legendary Oakland Raider George Atkinson Sr. Remember those Super Bowl teams in the 70s? And here's DeAndre Washington. Washington going to be wrapped up in the backfield.
DeAndre Washington.
Cache Palacio with the stop. Brings up a third down.
Third and 10 from the 22.
Considering this drive started at the Seattle 42-yard line, if they can get a stop here and hold the Raiders to a field goal, this will be a big victory for the defense. Here's Cook. Out of the pocket, scrambled. First down, inside the 10. 12 yards on the run by Cook.
I think that play is representative of the number of snaps Connor Cook has had in his career. A 3-year starter at Michigan State, and he feels the zone defense there by the Seahawks, the 4-man rush that loses the integrity of their passing lanes. And Connor Cook is no blazer. He's not Trevon Boykin or Russell Wilson. But you give a big guy space like that, especially in that area of the field, as things do speed up and your decisions have to be made quicker, he makes the right one.
Started to slide at the 10. They spot it there. First and goal. Cook. Pump fakes. Underneath. Pass caught. Jadon Mickens, the former Husky. 4 yards down to the 6.
This is the area that is so critical, where the Seahawks, like many of their statistics defensively, are as good as anybody in the league. Third last year defensively in limiting touchdowns in the red zone. Just 44%, and a big reason is because of the comfort level so many of the guys have here defensively. You've got an extra defender as that field shortens, that back of the line, end zone. You really got to trust the best red zone defenses are those that trust the people around them to eat up space, especially as much zone defense as you see down here.
There's DeAndre Washington, nowhere to go. Cache Palacio with a tackle in the backfield. That hole closed quickly. And Palacio has really played well, particularly the last 2 weeks. Against Dallas last week and then again tonight, trying to make this team out of Washington State.
I think what you see out of him is he's fearless. He's not the biggest guy, kind of like Kevin Pierre-Louis. You can see the two of them next to each other. They should run and pursue pretty darn well. And if you bring that kind of speed to your pursuit, you can finish tackles just like that.
Empty backfield. Cook under pressure. Throws it out of bounds, and he had to get rid of that one just to prevent being sacked. Marcus Burley bringing the heat from the edge.
You saw the nickel pressure last time get a couple sacks for the Seahawks, even from a yard and a half off. I think that's what fooled the young rookie quarterback there. Typically, those nickel pass rushers love to get right on the nose of that slot receiver. That time, Burley, even a yard off, still gets home. Showing the kind of quickness he has at that nickel position.
So this will be a 27-yard field goal attempt from Janikowski. And again, considering this drive started at the Seattle 42, Seahawks will be pleased that it's only a field goal. 5-0. Raiders on top after a good defensive stand, holds them to just 3.
It's the Raiders
5-0 here on a Thursday night in Oakland. Thursday afternoon, a lot of Seahawk players and Brock Heward spent time at the Beast Mode store owned by one Marshawn Lynch.
Well, Kurt, so many times these players have a difficult time transitioning out, so I thought I would just help Marshawn out a little bit and contribute to his retirement fund, which is what a lot of the players and staff joked about. It was cool. You know, it was really neat was actually seeing him there as well. And yes, that's the jacket right there. That's the one I'm bringing home. But really neat to see, and actually I saw a bunch of the coaches and players, and you could tell it was, Marshawn has such a unique place in that locker room. It's friendship, it's respect. I mean, it's a different kind of relationship, and There was a real outpouring, and you could tell he enjoyed it today.
The store in downtown Oakland, part of what they're doing to try and revitalize this city. People around here tell you it's the next Brooklyn, like it was revitalized in New York. We'll see if that happens, but a lot being done to try and turn the Oakland area around, and Marshawn Lynch a big part of that. Romaine Pope brings it out. Escapes a tackle. Pope, his best return of the preseason, takes it into Raider territory and finally forced out of bounds. Well, that's one way to make an impression. Romaine Pope gives the Seahawks their best offensive opportunity of the night. We'll see if they can take advantage of his 62-yard return. It's almost hard to remember when Pete Carroll wasn't the Seahawk coach. It's only been 7 seasons. This is his 7th. But it seems like he's been here forever, and they've been winning forever, really, since his 3rd year here when they really turned things around.
Well, you talk about just igniting a community. That's exactly what Pete Carroll's leadership has done. I love that postseason, Mark. The big games, the big moments, the prime time record is off the charts as well, and it's because of this. There's a very clear vision and conviction of the way they're going to play ball. Even with a franchise quarterback now in Russell Wilson, Pete's going to continue to chomp his gum, and he's going to continue to play elite defense and run the ball, because that is really, I think, what makes the entire roster come to life.
And you see the evolution. Came in, defense, run the football. And they won football games. They won a Super Bowl like that. But last year, opening it up a little bit more offensively with Russell Wilson and continuing to progress there while not losing anything on the defensive side of the football. From the 44-yard line, Jake Heaps to Joe Summers. And he takes it down to the 30. Another first down for Seattle. Their best field position of the night.
You know what I love about these final 22 minutes is the different stories that every one of these guys brings to the table. And for Jake and seeing him in warm-ups and talking about the semi-pro league that he was in, the fact that his 3-month-old son and wife came down here to be a part of this night, and the chance that he's going to get to play for his hometown team and maybe even find a way to lead him to victory in the second half. Cool stuff.
Off the play fake, Heaps throws on the run. Doug McNeil. And McNeil with the catch down to the 22-yard line.
You know, we're talking about Pete Carroll, and you know what else about Pete Carroll and his staff? They've been together a long time. Yes, there's been turnover with the D coordinators, but all you do is bring somebody up within the program to fill those spots. And because of that and the relationship with Cable and Bevel and that entire offensive staff, you know what you do? You find answers and solutions at halftime, and the answer is to get out of the chaos of the pocket, move the pocket, and find easier completions.
Pick up 7 yards on the first down. 2nd and 3. Romaine Pope. Pope picks up 2 yards. Pope's not very big, but he runs pretty hard. 5'8". Rookie free agent out of Jacksonville State. And there's another guy that, beginning of training camp, he was back in Anniston, Alabama, ready to start working at an auto parts factory. Because of some injuries in camp, Seahawks gave him a call, got on a plane, came out here, and has really pushed his way into the conversation to make this squad. Gets the carry on 3rd down. Piled up, and Pope, as soon as you start bragging about him, doesn't get anything, but didn't have much running room there.
Well, that we've called Latham's name a number of times, and you said push. Look at the push. This is that zone read, and you can see at the interior. Immediately, that entire offensive line is reset a yard and a half.
Short of a first down.
And when this team struggles to run, it's because that zone, that inside zone, where those guys have to fire off and work together, it gets beat at that initial contact. That's happened too often tonight for the Seahawks.
And their flags down before the ball is snapped.
This may be an automatic first down.
Yeah, 4th and 1.
Critical error by the Raiders.
4th down. If this is a penalty on Oakland, it will be a first.
Oakland called a timeout. There will be no penalty on the play. First start timeout, Oakland.
Oh, Oakland got a timeout before the flags. Saved themselves and keeps the 4th down alive.
Pete's always going to fight for his guys. 11 Raiders plus 1 is 12. And Coach Carroll So the flag was thrown. There were 12 guys on the field. You called it. You can see P1 answers here. He's fighting for it. No. The flag was thrown in the back for 12. Did not see the timeout called beforehand.
They say the Raiders got the timeout first. Nolan Freeze, the long snapper, gets that one clean, and Steven Hauschka puts it through. First Seahawk points of the night. 39-yard field goal is good, and it's a 5-3 ball game. Seahawks take the field for the first time tonight with points on the board. It's a 5-3 contest as Seahawks football is presented by Washington's Lottery. Play Seahawks scratch from Washington's Lottery. It's absolutely hawksome. Go to WALottery.com for details. 5:08 left in the third quarter of this last game of the preseason. 5-play scoring drive after the 62-yard punt return. Or excuse me, kickoff return from Cormaine Pope.
You know what else is awesome? Watching a 290-pound man run down the field. This is preseason. This is special teams. This is Brandon Bryant, undrafted rookie free agent, just trying to show what he can do. A defensive tackle. It's 6'2", 290 pounds. He's going to get his opportunity. And if I'm on the kickoff return team, I'm hoping this one goes into the end zone as I'm looking down at, what is he, L3 here to try to go block?
Rookie free agent out of Florida Atlantic. He's the last one down the field, but he's going. Here's DeAndre Washington. Back up the middle of the field. Flag comes out. And Keenan Lambert stopped Washington. Did the big man get held?
I think he did. You got to be careful about holding 290 pounds. He may be the last one down, but you're not going to miss a hold.
During the return, holding receiving team number 57. A 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down.
Well, let's see. Yeah, there's 92 Bryant. That's why you put the big man in there. Draws attention. Winds up getting held by Corey James. It worked.
And now I think we realize why he may have been the last one down. He knew that he had to go in and play that next snap, and not many 290-pounders running down on kickoff and lining right up. And some of the beauty of the preseason is you're making your evaluations.
So he contributed on special teams. Now lined up at defensive tackle as the Raiders start at the 20-yard line. Cook on the bootleg. Pass caught. KJ Bryant. Ty Smith with the stop. But Bryant with a nice pickup, moves the chains. 19 yards.
Well, I think this is smart football. I gave credit to Pete Carroll and his staff and Darrell Bevel to move the pocket. It's exactly what Oakland has done. Not able to really get anything going in the run game. Seattle bringing some pressure off the edges and hitting the quarterback and getting after the pocket. So how do you counteract all of that activity? Well, you play action pass and try to get out on the edge away from that chaos.
Jack Del Rio, now in his second season with the Raiders. The season that they enter with a lot of hope. A lot more hope than you've seen around Oakland in a long, long time. As Connor Cook completes that one. KJ Brent slips away from Ty Smith and finally wrapped up by Tyvis Powell, but another first down, 28 yards on that reception.
And you can see Ty looking over to the sidelines right there, and I'm sure it's Richard Sherman and it's Deshaun Shedd, and it's some of the conversation of those older players that just don't take any breath, don't take any play for granted right now. You've got maybe 20 snaps here over the final 18 minutes or so of this game, and you got to play every one like it's your last one, and those veterans are going to remind you.
Smith, part of that battle you talked about at the start of the program. It's so deep at defensive back. Cook, pump fake. Michael can't catch it. Michael Rivera there being covered by Palacio, but he should have caught that one, even though he's a little bit twisted around.
Yeah, there's a couple throws there for Connor Cook that I think these Oakland receivers are used to Derek Carr putting it right on him. We watched Derek Carr warm up, and he's got one of the 10 strongest arms in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets an open receiver like that. We saw it with Atkinson as well, the running back. Both of them could have been caught, but you make it a little easier if you put it with a little bit of mustard right on their pads.
Here's Cook, pressured. And DeAndre Washington drops that one.
And that was set up. So you move the pocket to counteract some of that pressure and activity. You also draw and screen. And both teams have kind of held that screen card in their pocket until right there. Bill Musgrave, that was an excellent call. The timing was ideal. Everything was in front. But a little bit like Atkinson, these young players get so excited to make a play, they lose the very basic fundamentals at times of looking that ball in.
So 3rd and 10 after the back-to-back incompletions. Cook. KJ Brent, the intended receiver. There go the flags. Ty Smith on the coverage, had his hands on him. You can see Pete Carroll's arguing that that ball was not catchable. It's thrown too high. Richard Sherman joining in. Yeah, what coach said.
After discussion on the field, there is no pass interference as the ball was deemed uncatchable. 4th down.
And attorney Pete Carroll wins his case.
You say attorney, can't you just picture him in a pickup basketball game? Is the total arbiter of any call or non-call and making sure that he influences. You don't think those coaches talking to officials throughout the course of the game matters? It does. It doesn't dictate all the calls all the time. And I think if you talk too much and cry wolf too often, they tune you out. In a situation like that, Richard, Earl, Pete, all of them, I think help influence or at least educate that call.
Oakland calls its first time out here the second half. Actually, Seattle called it. So the Seahawks used their first time out of the second half. 3:15 left to go in the 3rd quarter. And
I was talking to Cliff Averill this offseason and some of these veterans as well, Richard Sherman, we talked to Cliff earlier, and the one thing they will say, Michael Bennett to a man, is how much Pete Carroll fights for them. How he truly has their best interest in the league. Well, that is difficult to engender, that kind of trust or loyalty at times because of the business, because at times the unilateral contracts. Those guys know that Pete Carroll is going to fight as hard for them as any one of their teammates will. Another big reason he's been so successful.
He is a difference maker. Unlike really any other coach in the league. He's the oldest coach, but maybe the most youthful at the same time, as Tyler Lockett is forced to make another fair catch at the 5-yard line.
And I've concluded that Tyler Lockett was told very clearly, either fair catch or let it go in. There's no need to get you into major collisions, especially with the 2s and 3s in the game and punt return. That's just a reflection of trying to protect the group there and protect himself.
There you see Heat perfect tonight, 4 for 4 as far as completions go. As many as he had in the first 3 games. He's taken as many snaps as he did probably the first 3 games combined. And a deep hole here to start. Alex Collins. A couple of moves, but doesn't get far.
Alex Collins was the ball carrier.
Collins in that battle of what's probably even a more crowded running back competition than the Seahawks expected at the start of training camp. Drafted 3 running backs. Kristen Michael has really stepped his game up. Ball tipped at the line of scrimmage and it falls incomplete. And then we saw Thomas Rawls come back and play tonight.
And that's now the 3rd tip pass. We saw it earlier with twice with Boykin, that time with Heaps, and that's a reflection of not just that run game having a hard time moving these Raiders. It's also a reflection even in the passing game, how they are squeezing down those passing lanes. They're squeezing down that pocket. Once again, it was Autry there. We saw it earlier with Latham. This Oakland defensive line really having their way through the first 45 minutes of action.
Seahawks needing the 16-yard line for a first. Heaps from his end zone under pressure. Just throws that one down into the ground. And that may be another intentional grounding. If you got a receiver over in the area, it
was
won't
a
be.
receiver in the area. Number 36 was a receiver in the area.
Yeah, they were trying to set up the screen. You saw Musgrave call it for Oakland on the other side, so you feel all this pressure coming. That's a boom or bust play. If you were able to get that to Collins within some of the rhythm and timing, there was going to be a lot of green grass. But unfortunately, like many of these kind of must-pass situations, too much pressure. All Heaps could do was throw the screen pass away.
Seahawks 4-3 and out tonight. John Ryan from the end zone. DeAndre Washington at midfield. In Seahawk territory and stopped at the 40-yard line. Another tackle in special teams by Keenan Lambert.
DeAndre Washington for the 40.
Well, he has really played well tonight on special teams. Hey, Seattle, are you sick of your Friday night commute? Friday Night Vibes is Seattle's largest outdoor happy hour. Enjoy food trucks, drink specials, live music, and more. Now at CenturyLink Field in the North Plaza. Start your Friday nights on a happy vibe. For more information, visit FridayNightVibes.com. Connor Cook on first down. Open receiver along the sidelines. And that's Marvin Hall, the ex-Husky. A couple of former UW wide receivers here on the squad.
J-Don Mickens the other, and Hall and Mickens an uphill battle. More than likely not a roster spot for them, but hoping like many, Kurt, to make a practice squad somewhere. And ideally it's in the place that you spent training camp, so you can be a snap or a game away if there's injuries to that position group. But many of these guys you're going to see over the final 15 minutes, that's what's on the line for them. A practice squad here or practice squad elsewhere.
Picked up 9 on first down, so 2nd and 1. DeAndre Washington grabs the first down. Cache Palacio with a tackle. We called his name a few times tonight.
Yeah, he's one a lot like Keenan Lambert that just has a feel for the football and where it's going. And he felt that cutback much like DeAndre Washington did. And he too, I think, a candidate for a Seattle practice squad, a linebacker room that's pretty deep, very much solidified at the top with its starters and Brock Coyle and the core special teamers in that linebacker room. But Palacio continues to impress.
Cook. Michael Rivera, the tight end, picks up just a couple of yards, so a little crossing pattern. Kenny Tupou and Stephen Terrell on the stop. And Tupou's been all over the place tonight. He's played a little defensive tackle. He was in at fullback for a bit. The more you can do, as they say.
That's right. And these guys are going to play a little bit more. Roster's cut from 90 to 75. Means some of those fourth quarter reinforcements you saw the first couple weeks. They're watching this one tonight.
Another former Husky.
They're everywhere, Kurt.
All over the league, huh? And even in the broadcast booth. That one. Boy, I think Cook was trying to hold on to that football. Came out of his hand. Lucky no one from the Seahawks grabbed that.
It's a good call here. This is kind of a fun little chess match where we've seen the pocket move. Good look at Chris Richard. Does he want to play some of that zone coverage on a 3rd and 8 situation? Does he want to heat that pocket up in Connor Cook and let his guys on the outside right now looking like press man coverage and pressure?
On 3rd down, Cook under pressure. Going up top. And a little bit of miscommunication with Johnny Holton, who stopped his route. And that'll be it for the 3rd quarter. Raiders going to be in a kicking situation. 1 quarter left in the last game of the preseason. 5-3, Oakland. Ready for the final quarter of the preseason here in Oakland. And Seahawks football is presented by Washington's Lottery. Play Seahawks Scratch from Washington's Lottery. It's absolutely hawksome. Go to WALottery.com for details. Sebastian Janikowski kicked a 27-yarder earlier. This one from 45 yards away. And if there's anybody who knows how to kick on this infield dirt, it's him. 17 years.
The longest tenure of any Raider in their history when he plays a week from Sunday.
Ball is down, and it is through. So the lead is back up to 5. It's 8-3. Well, we say 1 quarter left for a lot of these players in their football careers. Rosters have to be reduced from 75 to 53 by 1 o'clock Pacific time on Saturday. And then the practice squad will be set on Sunday, but there'll be a mad dash, not only on this roster, but every team in the league looking at what they've got for 53 and then who's been let go in other places.
It's really remarkable, isn't it, when you get a little window in to how busy that guy is, John Schneider for the Seahawks, Reggie McKenzie for the Raiders. Just what the next 48 to 72 hours looks like for their personnel departments, for their scouts, for their workouts, for all the evaluation that they need to do still with their roster and what the final 53 will look like come Monday.
And it's amazing because it's a matter of trying to see who you can cut, and they have to clear waivers before you can put them on the practice squad, and you have to worry about someone else signing them, and all kinds of tricks going on. Here's Tremaine Pope, and Pope brings it back out to the 25-yard line. And the one thing you don't want to see are injuries here at the end of the preseason, especially going in the final quarter. There's DeAndre Elliott being taken into the locker room on a cart. Seahawks defensive back.
The Seahawks have been pretty fortunate, I think, through the course of this entire preseason. I think they've continued to remain pretty healthy. They've had some soft tissue injuries and pulled muscles and such, but not a lot of the violent season-ending ones as Boykin goes back in. This is the right decision. We were talking about it during the break. He's going to be your number 2. You have got to see him respond to some of the adversity, and I don't think you want to see him end his preseason with that first half of action.
Especially since you're hoping he doesn't have to play at all during the regular season. But if he does, you don't want him to end the preseason on a note like he's had tonight. At least thus far. Working from the shotgun. Pump fakes. In trouble again. Escapes. And runs out of bounds. It's been a long time since he's had a clean pocket.
You know what else you haven't seen tonight is very many clean first reads. How many times has he been able, if that getting that ball out of your hands is such an emphasis for Russell and for Doug and for Tyler and for that offense, how many times has he had to pull it down as he's seen the picture not clear and he's got to scramble and he's got to run and he's got to move? It's been a difficult night at the office for this entire offense, and especially the quarterback as he feels the brunt of that pressure.
Got 3 yards on that scramble. This time hands it off, and once again, there's D'Amico Autry before Tremaine Pope can even get back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it's going to be your zone read out of that 3-by-1. He's unblocked. He's a free runner. And I don't know if that's a situation where Trevon's got to read that and keep it, if that's a situation where it's called as a give in the huddle. And the offensive line's got to communicate. Even more moving pieces now on that offensive line.
Boykin on 3rd and long. Intercepted. No, dropped. Kenneth Durden had the ball, but lost it as he was going to the ground, so it'll be an incompletion. And another rough series for Boykin.
Kenneth Durden ran that comeback route. He just sat, he just squatted. There was almost a predetermination that he was going to throw that out to Kenny Lawler, but there was no window of opportunity. Really, Lawler did his best to become the DB and separate the ball from Burden.
There's Jadon Mickens back deep to take the punt from John Ryan. High booming kick. Backs Mickens up from the 16. Mickens finally stopped. Brandon Bryant. Big man showing we can do on punt coverage as well. Well, it's been a struggle tonight for backup quarterback Trevon Boykin and that backup offensive line. Raiders defensive front kind of had their way, especially in the second half. Bolton gets the ball back this time. I don't know, 28-yard line. You can see those guys aren't worried about cuts coming on Saturday. They're worried about cutting up, practicing their basketball moves.
You saw that video of Isaiah Thomas, right?
Yeah. Hitting 12 straight shots in his competition one-on-one with Tyler Lockett.
And he was oh, that's right, he was a Husky too.
Now a member of the Boston Celtics. And for the record, Tyler Lockett's the official winner of the Seahawks competition between the offense and defense that runs all training camp. George Atkinson, the third, gets away from Tyvis Powell and picks up the first down. Down on the Seahawks sideline where tight end Luke Wilson takes the time to join us. Thanks for joining us, Luke.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. We've asked all the veterans that have been over here, how happy are you that preseason's over?
Very happy. I think we put some great work in. It's camp is one of those times to grind, but getting back into football is always fun. And but we're excited. I'm ready to get the regular season rolling here.
How do you know your offense is ready, Luke?
I think just every day in and out of practice, we've really had some great chemistry. I think the O-line has really gelled well, and Russell's been spot on with everything, and we just have really clicked and looked sharp. Kind of have that feeling early on like we had late last season.
We've heard from Doug Baldwin and Russell Wilson, Jermaine Kearse even, that this may be the most competitive group that you guys have had, especially offensively. Do you get that sense?
I do. I just think that especially at the skill positions, we're very deep. And, you talk to the wideouts, the running backs, and, same thing goes for tight end. Jimmy will be back here very soon. Nick Vanette has been unbelievable, and, Brandon Williams, too, had a great camp. So I think that, that competitiveness comes from, a bunch of guys that are very capable and able to do a lot of cool things for us.
And you're also looking out now at a bunch of guys whose livelihoods are on the line.
For sure, and, it's fun. I got a good feeling we're going to come back and win this thing. But one of those things right now we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit, but I think we're going to pull. It looks like we might have got the ball right here.
Yeah,
so,
that might have helped.
There you go. There you go.
Look at you, Luke.
Yeah, there it is. There we go.
Nostradamus on the sideline. That's what we'll call you.
Gotta love it.
Tasha Palacio recovering the fumble. Thank you for predicting that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the Seahawks thank you for getting the ball back for them.
There you go.
In the game.
There you go. We always do. Find a way.
Thanks a lot, Luke.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, that's
Thank
Luke
you.
Wilson, the tight end, who called that turnover. And it happened just as he was saying it. They get the ball back. He said they win the game. They've got a chance right now in another big play by Palacio.
Well, the one thing this group does, and it doesn't matter if it's number 1 on the roster or in this case if it's number 65, 70, 75, they are going to play to the end. And they're going to go and they're going to finish, and they know it's not about the first quarter, the second, or the third. Luke Wilson knows that as well as anybody. The number of times this team, in fact 18 times in Russell's career, they've come back in the fourth quarter overtime, and that's textbook, baby. That's putting your face mask right on the ball and driving through and ripping and tearing it out and helping your offense gain some positive field position.
Palacio forced the fumble of Atkinson and recovered it.
And he's a kook.
Yeah, you got to give them credit every now and then,
That's
even
right.
though I know you don't want to.
Of course I do.
Give Seattle the ball at the 41. Boykin. Little miscommunication again. Antoine Goodley cut it inside. He threw it out. And once again, was lucky that Durden didn't pick that one off.
Okay, this is where the conversation's going on right now with Darrell Bevel, the guys upstairs in the booth, Pete Carroll, Tom Cable. What do we do here? How do we get Trevon Boykin in the final 11 minutes into rhythm? How do we get him feeling good? What on this call sheet does he like? What do I know that he's comfortable with? And how do I get him to get back to some of that competitive level we have seen through the first 3 preseason games?
Little screenplay. That'll help. Four-Main Pope picks up the first down. Picks it into Raider territory. And look, Brock, he played backup quarterback in this league for a long time. How important is it even though you'd hope that your backup quarterback never plays during the regular season, for him to finish off the preseason in, as you said, a rhythm.
Yeah, I think it's just trust. I think it's trust that, most importantly, Trevon wants to engender with this roster. You know, I loved what Cassius Marsh said to us yesterday, how you want to be a Seahawk. You want to be on this team. There's no greener grass anywhere in the league, and you want to earn that right to make the roster. So beyond the coach or the GM or anybody, you just want to prove to your teammates you can play.
That bad snap. Raiders recover it, but there's a penalty flag down as well. They're signaling open ball. Derek Lott recovered the fumble, but now there's a discussion. And Keith Ferguson.
Illegal formation on the offense. This penalty is declined. The ruling on the field is a fumble, recovered by the defense. Oakland's ball, first down.
All right, so Oakland recovers it. You can see Pete Carroll arguing his case again, but doesn't look like he's going to win this one. Let's take another look.
And these are two guys that played together, and Trevon's not ready for the ball on the snap count. And we have seen him this preseason get under center. He said he's feeling more comfortable. That's not something they did at TCU. But that, to me, as much as a snap count issue and being on the same page as it is the execution of quarterback-center exchange.
Yeah, Joey Hunt, his center at TCU, now with the Seahawks as a rookie as well. Snap that ball, and that's picked off. Ryan Robinson, no one in front of him. Touchdown, Seahawks. And Luke Wilson's prediction, well, is not final, but the Seahawks have the lead.
How good does that feel for Ryan Robinson, fighting like mad here in the fourth quarter as well? You talked about DBs, and the reason they're DBs, because they can't make catches on interceptions. How about that? How about the hands right there for the big fella to go out? That's not a body catch. And Heath and Boykin liking it. You just got to hang around. You don't make the catastrophic error. You play good defense, and you force the opponent to do so. And what a critical mistake there by Connor Cook.
Ryan Robinson.
You see the hands?
Yeah. Young man, as you said, just fighting to make this team, and was with the Seahawks last season. During the offseason, wound up suffering a knee injury and put on injured reserve, came back this year and really looked good in training camp, but hadn't had a chance to show it a whole lot in games until that play. 48-yard interception return for a touchdown. Seahawks going for two.
The Seahawks will go for two.
Boykin. Broken up, incomplete, intended for Doug McNeil for the Seahawks. On the interception return by Robinson, take the lead for the first time tonight, giving the Seahawks 12. Something to cheer about. Finally, up 9-8. He started his career right here with the Oakland Raiders, didn't make it, but doing his best to show that he deserved to make the Seahawks tonight with this pick and return for a touchdown.
All over the Seahawks facility, you see the same signs, the same language. Defensively, it's all about the ball. Offensively, for that matter as well, you take great care of it, but defensively, if you can take the ball away, and when this defense was humming, 39 takeaways in 2013, and a lot of them are the game-changing variety, just like that.
Hauschka going to kick this one short. DeAndre Washington. Stiff arm. Runs out of room. Titus Powell, and there's Keenan Lambert again on special teams.
And you know what that is? To me, that's Brian Schneider, special teams coach, who was bragging all about his kicker and punter last night. And that's them purposely doing that because they want to see these guys go cover. Let me go see Keenan Lambert and Ty Smith and Brandon Bryan. Let me go see those guys, Antoine Goodley that time. Guys really fighting for roster spots and roles in special teams. Give them a chance to go cover, and they did just that. Backing the Raiders up inside their own 20.
We'll start at the 16-yard line. We'll see if Connor Cook can shake off that last pass. The handoff to George Atkinson. Atkinson tripped up. Cassius Marsh got a hand on him. 2 yards on the run. Marsh getting a chance to show his versatility. Playing defensive end, linebacker.
Good look at the special teams coordinator. Actually was a special teams coach here in Oakland for a couple years as well, and he's got 2 of the best weapons in Hauschka and Ryan, and he knows it.
George Atkinson again. That play stretched out. Justin Hamilton with a stop. 5 yards on that one.
And probably no surprise after the critical error and the interception.
Keep it on the ground.
Just get yourself in more manageable third down situations.
See what the Seahawks defense can do on third down. Here comes the blitz. Cook up top, too high. Goes over the head of Johnny Holton, incomplete. Darrell Simon there on the coverage.
And that's good coverage. Thorold is such an intriguing guy, Kurt. We've talked about him the entire preseason, and the best news for him, he's been available every week. Because that's been his greatest challenge through many preseasons and training camps and off seasons, is just getting that quality work in. He's looking at the replay on that screen, and he sees that he's in perfect position. Can't throw it over him, can't throw the back shoulder, forces the incompletion.
Simon's only been active for 11 games in 3 years. Remarkable. Marquette King. That one finally taken short by Darrell Simon. 43 yards on the punt, 3 yards on the return by Simon, and high fives all along the sideline.
More you can do.
It's ready to wrap up the preseason, holding on to the lead right now, 9-8 in the fourth quarter. And there's a good look at Doug Baldwin. Man with a new contract this offseason, one of the top 10 paid receivers in the league. And I'll tell you what, the second half of last year, he was as good a receiver as there was in the league.
Well, he was the best, and he was #1 in this league in touchdown receptions. Set the franchise record. The big question for me is this is still going to be a defense and run first team, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities for Doug as there were in that second half. Mostly because the quarterback, and we talked about this throughout the night in the preseason, he's getting the ball in the right spot. You're not fooling him. You know, we're looking at a bunch of young quarterbacks in Boykin and Connor Cook, their first season in this league, and everything is flying around them so fast. Russell has slowed everything down, and Doug and Jermaine, beneficiaries of it.
Here's Alex Collins on first down, gets it outside. His best run of the night, maybe best run of the preseason. Takes it into Oakland territory. Big run by Collins of 23.
Yeah, there's no doubt that was the best run. He had a couple runs last week where it's very similarly, he cut it all the way back. He's feeling the flow there, and then he's got the juice to get outside the containment. That's going to be a critical error defensively there for Antonio Hamilton, but a wonderful job of seeing the 225 pounds getting that extra gear, and that's what this organization wants to see and continue to see from Alex Collins.
And you talked about trying to find something to settle down this offense. As we get a timeout called by the Seahawks.
Second charge timeout. Seattle.
But that run will certainly help. And one of the things you saw, they brought 2 tight ends in on that first down play, wind up running the football, just something basic. Gained 23 yards. They got a timeout. 2 tight ends on the field right now, and maybe this is part of just trying to settle down Boykin.
Well, and you hope that that run will then ultimately allow you to get out and play action. I think Boykin, we're learning, is not only best when the tempo's picked up a little bit, he's best in space, which is going to be fairly natural for a spread quarterback coming out of the system he did, Kurt, to think that he's going to process everything and all the blitzes and all the movements and especially all the language right here in the huddle perfectly. That's unrealistic. But can you find a way to put him in the best position for success if he is your backup and has to come into a game?
Under center on first down. Pressured. And he throws that one away, flagged down. There may have been a late hit.
Personal foul, Roughing the passer, defense number 91. Contact to the helmet and head area of the quarterback. 15 yards, automatic, first down.
That's on their third-round pick, Shalik Calhoun. Another kid out of Michigan State.
Shalik is saying, I got away with that in East Lansing. And I got to hit the quarterbacks in college a lot harder than that. But he's going to learn pretty quickly, third-round pick that's going to get some run this season. And that's an iffy one. Typically, you go to the head, or we've seen this preseason. You drive a quarterback into the ground. And that's one that I think actually Shalik's got some debate about, because that was not very vicious.
Oh, and they called it a shot to the head. Clearly wasn't. But a 15-yard penalty puts the ball at the 28. Alex Collins stutter steps, keeps his feet. He's going to be near a first down.
And I think much like playing to the strength of your quarterback, you also got to figure out what your backs do best. And this is obviously what Alex does best. The short little space, that short little stutter step, and then being able to get to that acceleration. This is what Beast Mode did so very well within this system. Is you move laterally, but you never slow down, and then you're able to get into gear quick.
Second and a yard. Collins bouncing it outside. Looks like he got the first down before Keith Durden grabbed him. Should give him his forward progress. They do. 2-yard gain on the first down.
And there you see John Schneider with the little fist bump, 5th-round pick. You love the productivity.
Nearly 1,600 yards and 20 rushing touchdowns at Arkansas last year. 5th-round pick has had to battle his way through a couple of injuries this preseason. And a lot of guys on the roster in front of him as well. Takes a little breather right now.
And John Schneider looking up at this clock and saying, can you wind a little faster?
Tremaine Pope now ended running back. There's a kid who continues to make an impression. First time the Seahawks have been inside the red zone tonight, and he runs it for 4.
Well, this is the first time, as you're seeing even more backups for Oakland, this is the first time you've been able to establish the line of scrimmage. And no surprise that play action pass comes off of it. No surprise that you start to dictate. It all starts with those big boys up front.
The handoff to Pope. Fighting. They push the pile down to the 5-yard line. Boy, I tell you what, he's little, but he does not shy away from contact.
No, he does not. And he likes to mix it up right in the midst of all those big guys.
It just keeps driving.
It doesn't matter. Look at Joey Hunt. It doesn't matter that these guys have not played for the Seahawks in previous years, these youngsters and these rookies. They've watched enough ball, and I love Reese Adiumbo. Look at him drive his defender into the ground. And the rest of the crew come and help your buddy out, as we have seen that pile push for years in the Seahawks run game.
First and goal after the 7-yard pickup from the 5. Pope. Touchdown, Seahawks. Ryan Robinson with a defensive touchdown. Tremaine Pope with the first offensive touchdown from either squad all night long. And the Seahawks extend the lead.
Well, he said he's got the biggest burst in that running back room, and it's awfully close. Krista Michael's got plenty of burst. Thomas Rawls has got burst in a physical, combative nature. But this little guy has made his mark this preseason. Every opportunity he's gotten, he's flourished. Week 1, 2-point conversion, Kansas City, touchdown runs. And Pete Carroll loving the guy getting behind his pads, scoring the touchdown.
High snap brought down by John Ryan, and Stephen Hauska gets it through. And so just like that, the Seahawks now lead it by 8, and Pope scored the last touchdown. Robinson scored the previous, but we may have to give the credit to Luke Wilson, who predicted the Seahawks would come back and win this game, and right now they've got a chance to do it with 5:14 left. Let's go back down to the Seahawks sideline where Deshaun Shedd joins us.
How's it going?
All right, how are you?
Doing good.
Hey, what do we call you? Do we say your quarterback or your safety, or what label do we put on you?
I'm a defensive back. I'm a DB. Wherever you want to put me, I'll make it happen.
Defies all labels.
Yeah.
Well, these Seahawks and a lot of these young guys, Deshaun, have not been around this team, obviously, but they've learned pretty quickly that you don't win in the first, the second, the third, but you win it in the fourth. What are you seeing?
Oh, man. It's how you finish. That's all we preach. It's all about the finish, and our definition for finish is do right longer, and that's what it takes. You got to go. Like you said, you don't win in the first, second, third. It's the fourth quarter, and that's finish time, man. The young guys are doing just that.
Do you remember this moment years ago when you were sitting after the fourth preseason game and wondering what the call was going to be and where life was going to take you? Does this night bring you back to those situations?
Definitely bring me back. One of the nights was here, actually, in Oakland, and I believe I finished the game with a pick six that game. So definitely bring a lot of memories back. And it's dirt. Nobody likes playing on this dirt, but it's just one of them games that we got to come out here and do. So.
Talk about as a veteran, and you watch the young guys. Obviously, you pull for them, you root for them. But, I mean, this is a business, and you know that the roster is going to be cut. These are guys that you've been with day in and day out for a couple of months. Is it tough on the veterans even to watch?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely tough. It's bittersweet because we get to go out here and just watch them and cheer for them and see it go out here and compete. But the bitter part is it has to be cuts. It has to be cuts. People got to go. But another sweet part is a lot of people from this team actually get picked up most of the time. So it's good to see the young guys go, but it's good to see them have opportunities somewhere else if it ain't here.
Deshaun, what has stood out the most about these rookies coming in here as a class?
Oh, man, it's just their will to just compete and their effort. This class has been really great. You see them finish in the fourth quarter of the game. You see Lil Pope out there doing well. DeAndre Elliott, Ty Powell, Keenan Lambert actually coming back and doing a great job. And so just to see them go out there and compete and finish these games, it's really fun to watch them.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. Good luck this season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, that's Deshaun Shedd, defensive back. Don't call him cornerback. Don't call him safety. He's a defensive back, Mr. Everything.
You know, I said to you in this fourth quarter, you want to gain the respect of your peers, whether you're Trevon Boykin and kind of gain that trust. Tremaine Pope, who at every turn has done his job. Palacio, who's made plays. But don't you just get the sense being around this team as far as respect goes? Maybe Deshaun Shedd is respected as anybody.
Yeah, without a question. You talk to guys, it doesn't matter offense or defense. He is very well respected inside that locker room. Coaching staff as well. Here's Connor Cook. The ball tipped at the line of scrimmage. And didn't you have Pete Carroll on your radio show this week?
Wide receiver number 80, KJ
Jackson?
Yes.
Question involving Mr. Shedd?
Yeah, we asked Pete about the for some reason. Asked him about the hardest workout he ever did, or the best workout, because the guy, obviously, you can see the shape he's still in. And don't tell him he's the oldest. He's sick and tired of hearing that. But Coach Carroll said that he ran 2 miles in 10 minutes and 35 seconds when he was still playing ball. And I said, well, who on your roster do you take in a 2 mile? And without hesitation, it was Deshaun Shedd. Just unrelenting work and relentless work ethic.
Here's Connor Cook in trouble, gets away. And gets it downfield. Jadon Mickens, the former Husky, right in front of Eric Pinkins. 34 yards.
Well, speaking of relentless there, Connor Cook, good for you. You made some critical errors. You had a tough go. You give up the pick six. The pocket breaks down around you. A good rush there. You see Cassius Marsh starting to use his hands. Unfortunately, there, Quentin Jefferson, Cassius unable to make the sack. Connor Cook keeps the play alive and hits Jadon down the field.
There's a flag on the play as George Atkinson has the carry. There's a challenge flag beforehand.
Too many men on the defense. Seattle, 5-yard penalty, first down.
But I don't think that Pete Carroll got that challenge flag out before the ball was snapped, which is part of the reason the Raiders were hurrying up. Because if you get the snap off before their challenge flag is recognized, then they can't challenge. Now John Hussey discussing with his crew to try to figure out the timing. Was the challenge flag out before the ball was snapped? If so, they'll take another look at this catch, whether or not it was a catch. If it wasn't, and it looks like he's telling Pete to keep it.
Seattle threw their challenge flag too late. We are not going to honor the review. Defensive team has 12 men on the field. That 5-yard penalty will be enforced in the previous spot. First down still.
All right, so the Seahawks not only don't get the challenge, they have too many men on the field and get penalized as well. Let's go back and take another look at this catch and see whether or not Mickens made the grab. He's got to have possession of it as he goes out of bounds. It's hard to tell if he lost possession there.
I don't see it, at least in that view, hitting the ground. He squeezes, uses his legs there to control the ball through the ground. I think that call would have stood.
Regardless, first down from the 12. Cook, nowhere to go, just gets rid of that one. Good coverage in the secondary.
And you saw earlier this exact situation, and we referenced the stat there, third best in the league, and not allowing the opponent to score touchdowns. That's how you become the #1 scoring defense for 4 consecutive years. Something not done since the 50s and 60s with the Cleveland Browns, but it's these situations. Good offenses in this league are going to drive. They're going to get into the red zone, but it's limiting the damage and holding opponents to field goals, what's made this defense one of the best the NFL has ever seen and the best going right now.
Here's Cook. Little screen play, George Atkinson. Can't run forward. Steve Longa finally gets him out of bounds. Brandon Bryant, whose name we've mentioned quite a few times tonight, chasing him from behind as well.
Yeah, that big man was doing his best at the top of Rubin right there. We saw him on the kickoff coverage team. The hustle of 290 pounds pursuing down the line of scrimmage. He was a guy that tested very well. I mean, he tested right there with Robert Condici in a bench press in a 40 time. Putting it all together and doing it down in and down out. Something that many of these Seahawks defenders are learning.
See if this defense can get a stop on third. Atkinson. Going to pick up a first down.
George Atkinson.
Keenan Lambert stops him at the 5-yard line. First and goal, Raiders. Now, if Oakland gets a touchdown here, do you think they'll go for 2 and try and tie this last preseason game? Send it to overtime?
First and goal from the 5.
They wouldn't do that, would they?
You know the answer to that question. Yes. Now, what play you may call in that situation?
We'll find out. Flag. Farrell Simon there covering Johnny Holton. Too much contact.
Defense number 27. The foul occurred in the end zone. The ball was placed at the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
And you know that Farrell Simon likes contact. He likes to get his hands, much like Brandon Browner used to do when he was out on the edge playing corner with the same kind of build. If you put 2 hands on that wide receiver in the end zone and impede their ability to get the ball, more often than not, you're going to draw the pass interference.
First and goal from the 1-yard line. George Atkinson through the hole into the end zone. All right, we'll find out if they go for 2. .217 left. They're staying out there. Jack Del Rio wanting his team to go for the 2-point conversion after the touchdown by Atkinson.
And you got to do this.
Yeah.
I mean,
you do for the right thing for your team.
Yeah, for these young players that have earned this opportunity, a bunch of them that won't put on uniforms again this season, maybe not ever. They've earned the right for you to go for it and have a chance to tie it up.
Well, with 2:17 left and 2 timeouts, Seahawks have 1 timeout. This game not necessarily over, even if it is tied here. Cook looking, doesn't get in the end zone. Well, that keeps it from being tied. Short of the goal line, stopped before he could get there by Eric Pinkins.
And that's a situation there, a teaching moment as you see Pinkins favoring that shoulder a little bit. Pinkins can run. He can really go. Converted safety. And this is a situation, if you're Connor here, you got to do something. You got to, Trevon Boykin to jump into the end zone. You got to give your receiver a chance. You just can't have a dead play 2.5 yards outside the line, outside the goal line, and Pete loves it.
So after a quiet first 3 quarters, we've had turnovers, we've had touchdowns, just about everything has happened here in the fourth, and it's still a 2-point contest, 16-14.
And Pete wants an explanation. I mean, he is going to fight for everything, and you see him. That's still about that challenge flag, and when he got it out, and Russell too. They didn't win the argument then. I think based on the smiles, I don't think they're winning it now. But the field judge is enjoying the debate and conversation. As I said, the ultimate arbiter on a basketball court, wouldn't he be?
Yeah, I think he is in a lot of those basketball competitions they have there at the BMAC.
He still wants it. I mean, a field judge didn't entertain my conversation. Now let me get a hold of the white hat, the referee.
And there he is. He's still talking to John Hudson, referee.
And this may come up, to be quite honest with you, this may be a situation that comes up later in the year as far as just the specific timing of when they need to see that challenge flag. And
Pete not talking to the cameraman and doing everything. Here's Janikowski. See if they try the onside kick. They do. Flag down. Easy Wachaku was the Seahawk who got it anyway. Holding on that football. Not letting it go.
Offside, kicking team. That 5-yard penalty will be enforced from the dead ball spot. Seattle keeps the ball. First down.
So Seattle recovers the onside kick. Easy Wachaku doing his job. They'll tack on 5 more yards after the penalty. And Seattle holding on to this 2-point lead with good field position here as they try and run out the clock. Starting at the 44-yard line of Oakland. Trevon Boykin trying to finish off this preseason on a happy note.
Utilize that play clock, get guys in and out of the huddle, continue to manage these situations. Situational football at the very kind of 101 level of the best teams in this league. They handle these situations better than others.
Ball officially at the 43. Handoff taken by Troymaine Pope. Scored the 5-yard touchdown the last time he carried the football. Picks up 3 this time. You know, you go back, and it's going to be a tough cut for a lot of these guys. Tough cut at running back for the Seahawks. But reminded, this time last year, Thomas Rawls, this was the game where he forced the Seahawks coaching staff to make some decisions, and you kind of almost feel like Troymaine Pope is in that same battle right now, not expected to do a whole lot, and has done it all preseason, and tonight really forcing the issue.
Yeah, and I think this regime does as good a job as any around the league. Oakland does as well. They've got a number of undrafted rookie free agents playing prominent roles on their team. But when you say to guys, you make the decision for us, you want to be able to back that up. So when they do, and they perform, and they outperform others, they earn the right on the roster, and a difficult roster to join right here.
And there's another big run by Pope. Caught from behind, flag goes down as well. There's a horse collar tackle, so they'll tack on more yardage, but once again, Pope showing what he can do, 32 on that run.
And there's one thing that you know about Coach Carroll, John Schneider, the mix between those two is they love unique talent.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle on the defense. That penalty will be enforced half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
They don't just look for standard fare, and it's just elite quickness. And that's backups for Oakland that are sitting there watching. They've got their contain angle, but not good enough just to stand there, especially not against a talent who wants it as badly as Pope does tonight.
What a way to take us to the 2-minute warning here in Oakland. Seahawks football has been brought to you by CenturyLink Prism TV. Visit prismtv.com for more details. CenturyLink, home team, home connection. And Washington's Lottery. Play Seahawks Scratch from Washington's Lottery. It's absolutely Hawksome. Go to walottery.com for details. Seahawks lining it up. Handoff taken by Alex Collins. Collins keeps fighting, going to be stopped just outside the 1-yard line.
And Oakland can only stop it one more time, and this is where you've got to take advantage of now 30 seconds left on that play clock. Run that clock all the way down. Nice job by George Fant washing down that end, giving Collins the opportunity to cut it back.
Collins, who's gotten a number of short yardage opportunities this preseason, trying to take advantage of it here and punch it in the end zone. From the eye, Collins, second effort, makes it. His first touchdown of the preseason. And I'll tell you what, ever since that moment that Luke Wilson said it on the sideline, it's been all Seahawks.
Look at Tupou, the fullback. He slams it in there, 280 pounds, played a little special teams, a little D-line, a little fullback, and he sets the table there for Collins to have a taste of some success this preseason.
Stephen Hauschka out for the extra point. And just like that, it's 23-14 with 1:15 left.
And nothing fancy, same play, back-to-back. And these number threes against the Oakland number threes finally started to control that line of scrimmage.
And it's worked for the offense. Again, as you said, 13 against 13. Seahawks had 3 points the first 3 quarters. They've had 20 in this fourth.
Yeah, and I think what happens through the years here, you look at Coach Carroll's roster and you start to say, well, who's got the best roster? Sometimes, not all the time, but you look at these third and fourth quarters, and whose guys stand out? And you remember in 2013, undefeated, ran the table, wasn't very competitive in many of these preseason games because the depth of that roster made it pretty one-sided in the fourth quarter, and it sure feels to a degree that way here in the final 15 minutes. The running back room, the offensive linemen, a lot of the depth of this roster is showing up in the final frame.
So the Seahawks looking to wrap up the preseason. John Schneider happy, relatively healthy. We did see DeAndre Elliott carried off on a cart, but for the most part, it looks like the Seahawks are pretty healthy tonight. And if they hold on, they'll finish up 3-1. As they're 10 days away from the start of the regular season, the Miami Dolphins coming into CenturyLink Field to open things up September 11th. Another short kick, this one a little squib kick. And it's picked up by George Atkinson with running room. Being chased, cuts it back, gets a block, and scores. Well, let's not put this game away just yet. 81 yards on the kickoff return by Atkinson for the score.
This is unfortunate, just a loss of contain here on the backside. Some reaching and grabbing. You see Ty Smith there missing the tackle. I think most importantly for Hauschka to not get hurt, to try to do something here in the final minute of the preseason that would hinder him in the regular season. And Atkinson, like many of these guys, and you've seen with Troy Maine Pope, they don't want their preseason to end. They want to continue to show what they're capable of doing.
This game was 5-3 to start the fourth quarter. The Raiders called a timeout just to make sure everything's all settled. I think they may have been a man short. To get it lined up for Janikowski. And the lefty boots it through. So from a 5-3 game to start the fourth to 23-21 with 1:01 left.
As we look at Heath Farwell and helping out with some of those special teams. Brian Schneider will get his guys ready to go. They fielded the last onside kick well. They'll look to do it again to close out the preseason.
Brian Schneider getting his special teams unit together. See if they can return a little bit more disciplined than they did on coverage there. A lot of these guys, as we said, playing for their football lives with the cut downs happening on Saturday. 22 guys are on the active roster right now on every team around the National Football League. Won't be there on Saturday.
And there's going to be a bunch of teams where the special teams coach is going to have to get in the room and stand on the table and say, I need this guy. I need this guy. That's not necessarily the case for Brian Schneider. He knows who his core guys are. He's very comfortable. I don't think there's much that differentiates and separates many of these guys in such a heated competition. Once again, feels very good about the depth and competition on this roster and how it will all look in 4 days.
Oh, here's one guy who is maybe forcing the coach's hands a little bit more each and every time he touches the football. Troy Pope. Back deep, and once again, Janikowski tries the onside kick. This time he goes out of bounds. So the Seahawks will take it over in Oakland territory.
That's a pretty good onside kick right there from Janikowski. Driving the ball into the ground, exactly what you want, trying to give your guys an opportunity past that 10 yards to go and get it.
But the Raiders didn't recover it. Romaine Pope coming back out. You see the flag there. It's either because it didn't go 10 yards or simply because it went out of bounds. That's a penalty in itself. Kicking the onside kick out of bounds.
I think Pete could put on a was trying to get right in those huddles.
He's been in the huddle enough tonight.
For a legal touch, the ball was touched legally beyond 10 yards. The ball went out of bounds. Last touch by the receiving team. It will be their ball, first down.
All right, so after all of that, they sort it out, and Seattle takes it over. 47-yard line. Pete Carroll looked to run out the final 61 seconds of this preseason. Trevon Boykin under center to help the Seahawks go to 3-1. And they get ready for the regular season. Starts in 10 days with the Dolphins coming in.
Yeah, unlike a year ago where the Seahawks had to open on the road for back-to-back weeks, what the Raiders have to do, 3 of their first 4 will be away from Oakland and in New Orleans to begin the year. The Dolphins will have the long cross-country trip. I'm just excited to see how all of this is going to shake out. I know Russell Wilson is. He can't wait to get to work. These guys will have a couple days, and then come Sunday and Monday, get a bonus day and get themselves ready to start this season on a better foot than they did a year ago, where they went to St. Louis and lost, Green Bay and lost, and kind of spent the rest of the year digging out of that hole.
First 6 weeks and the bye, they're on the West Coast. So it's a long time before they have to make a long trip, but they are ready for the regular season to begin. 23-21, Seahawks finish up the campaign 3-1 on the preseason.
Yeah, I think this group is ready to go. You heard from every veteran today. You could see it in their body language. They knew they had to play this one, kind of get through it tonight. They came out relatively healthy this offseason. Be encouraged to see Jimmy Graham, whether he gets back in the fold, but this team is locked and loaded. They have championship aspirations. Their core is in place. Their window is wide open for them to continue to pursue those championships. And Kurt, I hope next year when we're talking about another Super Bowl run for this team, because they're good enough to be there.
If they stay healthy, there's no reason they shouldn't be in the mix. I mean, they're one of the elite teams in all the National Football League, and a team that seems to be elite with a lot of young veteran guys and still kind of on the rise.
Well, I think that is the key, isn't it? To make sure you get your core signed, and to do so when they're in their mid-20s, and your core isn't in their mid-30s. Different than Arizona, whose window is now. This organization window is now, and it's for years to come. And there are going to be some tough decisions and some tough phone calls to make over the next 2 to 3 days.
All right, let's get down to the sideline or down to the field where Troymaine Pope joins us. Troymaine,
Yes, sir.
how are you?
I'm doing fine. How
Out of
about
breath?
you? A little bit, kind of.
Hey, we were talking about it earlier.